Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 135 of Shacknews Presents Pop Quiz the Culture. I'm Donovan Erskine, news editor here at Shacknews, and I'm joined as always by Greg Burke, our illustrious head of video. Greg, welcome to Thursday.
It's the Thursday. It's a Thursday.
It is. It's 6:20. Aren't we? Isn't the summer equinox? Isn't that happening or
I don't
something
know.
like that?
All I know is that this would be the last day of E3 if it was still a thing.
No, June 20th. E3 would be over by now,
Is it
right?
is it just
E3 was
it's like month Tuesday. It used to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but there's day 0. So
right, but that would have all been like last week because E3 would always be like June like 9th, 12th, around there, right? I mean,
sometimes
I only went to
I
the
think like
last three.
Comic-Con it's sometimes earlier in the month or like later in the month
Yeah.
depending. Like I got like notifications from I've been going to E3 since 2009, so like I got those notifications like you
Mhm.
have memories in
Yeah.
June.
Yeah, I definitely moved it around throughout the years. The last couple I went to, I think, were early June. But yes, that's all a moot point because E3 is dead.
It's dead.
Long live all the other things. But of course, we're not going to be talking about E3 or Summer Game Fest on the show. This is all about movies, television, and similar forms of entertainment that aren't video games. Greg, we've got a fascinating array of topics here today and a deep well of reviews to go
Yeah,
through,
we do.
which
A lot. There's a
I
lot happening.
am looking forward to that. Yeah, if you enjoy the review segment of this show, please, you're in for a good one. Now, before we get into the fun topics, of the Greg, we had some sad news that came out this morning. Donald Sutherland, iconic actor, died at 88 years old today. Um, his son, Kiefer Sutherland, also a very notable actor, announced on social media. Um, I want to read his son's tweet. Obviously, we're big Kiefer Sutherland fans. We're big Donald Sutherland fans. And he posted this morning. With a heavy heart, I tell you that my father, Donald Sutherland, has passed away. I personally think one of the most important actors in the history of film. Never daunted by a role, good, bad, or ugly, he loved what he did and did what he loved. And one can never ask for more than that, a life well lived. Then he posted a picture of him with Stab when he was a baby. Um, but yeah, it's just sad. I mean, Donald Sutherland, one of those actors, we talk about it, where like the true hallmark of an iconic actor is when you have roles across
You
generations
do.
that are iconic, where it's like people who were born 40, 50 years ago will see him and be like, "Oh, that's the guy from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He's got that iconic moment where he points and screams and his eyes look all crazy, and it's still a meme today." But then you ask people that are like my age that were born in the 90s or hell, even the 2000s, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's President Snow," because he was in the Hunger Games original, not trilogy, 4 movies. He plays the antagonist, and he's so good in those movies. And you just like over multiple decades and generations, he's had these characters in these roles that have stuck with people. And you scroll through this dude's Wikipedia, and it is like a dictionary of movie titles and television programs he was a part of over the course of his film career.
What was your favorite role of his that he played?
I probably have to just go with President Coriolanus Snow from Hunger Games. I think that was my introduction to him because I would have been like 14, 13 when the Hunger Games came out. Um, Obviously, one of his later roles, although even looking at his filmography, he did like 20 movies after the Hunger Games. Um, that one's up there for me for sure. I'm trying to think of what else I really like him in. I think. hmm, I remember seeing Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Have you seen that movie? I only
Yeah,
remember bits and pieces of
he's
it.
in a ton of stuff. He has done over 100
Yeah,
movies. Like there's a ton of things he's done and he's been villains,
and he
he's
was
been
in
heroes, he's been
Mash.
everything in between. He's done so much. And like I would consider like he's an actor, right? Like we talk about celebrities and actors all the time on the show. He is an actor. Dawson was an actor. You know what I mean? So he had a lot of
Mhm.
various roles. I loved him in Virus. If you've never seen that movie,
Ooh, never seen Virus.
it's a great practical effects horror movie. You'd really like it, about sentient lightning that takes over a ship and makes cyborgs to like terrorize the people off the ship. It's a really cool movie, and he plays like a villain, like a scumbag villain in that, which is great. But I really liked that
Oh,
movie with him, and that's one of them that
I see
stuck out for me.
1999.
Yeah, Jamie Lee
Interesting.
Curtis is in it too.
Yeah, I was about to say this is Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's the cast of all new
The
based on
90s were
based
a
on a
time.
comic book movie, 1999, right? Like that's kind of
Oh,
cool. Yeah,
90s were a fun time, man. They were just doing whatever. Uh, yeah. So of course, wanted to open our show with a little R.I.P. Donald
the pod
Sutherland there.
people
He's
finally
very
got him, Squires. Is that?
the pod.
No, he'd still be
Jesus
alive if
Christ.
the pod people got him. That's the point. He'd be a different person now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's never a silver lining when a beloved person dies, but I think it is great that he left behind such an awesome legacy. I feel like if you could only watch movies that he's in for the rest of your life, you'd be watching movies for a long time.
Yep.
He's
I
been
mean,
in so
that's
many things.
his son
Yeah,
said it the
just
best. Like he had a life well lived. I think that's the best any of us can hope for, right? You make an impact and you make
yeah,
a have a life well lived. He said it. He said
yeah,
it better than I could ever have. Yeah.
yeah. I thought that was also a very well said statement. So, rest in peace, Donald Sutherland. Thanks for all the work of your illustrious career. And Greg, speaking of people who have had an illustrious career full of work, Mel Brooks, um, who is in his late
Dude, he
90s,
is hanging in
uh,
there. I love it.
been making things for a long time. Obviously, Spaceballs, Greg. We're getting some Shacknews lore. Spaceballs was our first Pop Goes the Culture movie night
Listen up.
many moons ago. We sat right here on this live stream and watched Spaceballs on Prime Video together. And that was my first time watching that movie ever. And as a big Star Wars fan, of course, I was very curious to see how that movie would play for me. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was funny. Even all these years later, I thought it held up really well. Well, guess what? They're making Spaceballs 2. It's in the works from Mel Brooks and Josh Gad at Amazon Studios, MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, which Amazon now owns. This is an interesting one because obviously Spaceballs, very beloved parody film, never got a sequel. Although they did the whole joke in there where they're like Spaceballs, the quest for more money, and all that.
The search
But
for more money.
the search for more money. But we are in the era of reboots, revivals, sequels for these old franchises, and that train has now arrived at Spaceballs. We're gonna get a new one, Greg. The Schwartz will return. Are you interested in a new Spaceballs movie in the year of our Lord 2026?
Like you said, we're in this like resurgence of like nostalgia reboot stuff, and I'm a little concerned just because like even Mel Brooks at his peak when he was doing movies in the 80s, like sequels were different in the 80s and 90s. Like they weren't, there was a different formula to them. And like now it's just like when you make one movie, now there's 10 more if they're successful and they're all interconnected, right? Like instead of just telling they all tell one cohesive story instead of just being self-contained. Some of the huge ones. And like, I don't know, like right. Mel Brooks, his style is very unique. He's very slapstick. He's very comedic, very set up. He breaks fourth wall stuff. I saw him on History of the World, the remake they did History of the World, and that was sketch comedy can be rough, and if you're ignorant about history, it's even more rough. Like you needed to really understand history to get a lot of the jokes. And I had to sit down with my friend who's a history major, and he had explained stuff to me. I'm like, okay, now that's funnier now that you told me that. So that's tough, right? It also shows like how dumb society's gotten, me included. Like with our history, we don't realize, with our basic history, we just forget. It was a little rough, but like all sketch comedy is rough. It's hit or miss. SNL has good episodes, has bad episodes, and everything in between. They have good sketches, bad sketches. It's comedy, right? Comedy's trial and error. So it's I don't know. I mean, I'll give it a chance. Rick Moranis won't be involved. He's kind of checked out. Like I don't think he's done with that career of his acting. He's just done. Maybe if Mel Brooks goes to his house and knocks on his door and asks him to be part of it, maybe he will. But I feel like you need Rick Moranis in this to work. Like majorly, he needs to come back. And like, what would would it satirize the new Star Wars movies? Like, how would this work, right? Because he had to he always asked permission for like the thing he was parodying, and like he asked George Lucas in Spaceballs if he could do this film, and the agreement was yes, but you can't make any merchandising. That's what that whole segment is. It's like a pop shot at George Lucas saying like you can't merchandise if you make the film. Like that was the big thing. So like that's even now if you go back and watch, that's even funnier because he's like slapping. He's making fun of George Lucas's one requirement to like do the film.
Yeah, I mean George Lucas famously like let a lot of people parody Star Wars for a while there when that franchise was quiet. Like he gave Seth MacFarlane the rights to like the Cantina theme and the sound effects and stuff to do the Family Guy Star Wars parodies, which are still great. Some of the best Star Wars parodies out there, I think, are those Family Guy episodes. I would imagine they will not be getting any sort of cosign from Disney on this. This will be a parody in its truest form. I doubt that Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger are going to be like, make fun of how we completely fucked this up severely.
It's definitely a different time period. Yeah, I think because he was in his legal right to do it. It's parody. You know what I mean? Like its permission is out of respect for the original creator. Like Weird Al is the same way. They try to ask permission. But like they
Right.
legally can. They can do whatever they want as long as
Yeah.
it's parody. That's the thing. Like that's
Mhm.
You monitor our protected data usage.
Welcome in the chat to Richie Crypt. Also, TJ, Johnny Chugs in the chat says, Josh Gad being involved makes me nervous. Love Spaceballs. There's plenty of material to work with from the final and prequel trilogies, but I'm not crazy about Gad. You didn't like him in Angry Birds 2? Or Pixels?
Josh Gad. Can we
Or A Dog's Journey?
Let's be honest here. Like Josh Gad's been getting residual checks from Frozen for the last 20 years. Let's really just
Frozen will be his enduring legacy.
He's funding the movie based on those royalty checks from Frozen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I'm like, I don't know what he's really done as like a writer producer, so it'll be interesting to see. As far as the material goes, the one thing I think to be optimistic about is like there's so much material to chew on with modern Star Wars parody. Arguably way more than there was when the original Spaceballs came out. Now, I mean, just the last 3 or 4 years of that franchise is like enough to do an entire movie. So I'm sure you'll have your pop shots at the sequels and The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. And as TJ mentions, they could even go back and mess with the prequels if they want, because obviously we never got a Spaceballs.
This is true
For that era of Star Wars.
There was a sketch show I saw from Warp Zone where they said if Mandalorian was smarter, and like it's the scene where Luke and the Mandalorian meet and he gives him Grogu. And Mandalorian's like, this is goodbye. And Luke's like, it's not goodbye. You can come visit him whenever you want. He's like, I thought you Jedi got rid of all your emotional attachments. He goes, yeah, that was the old way. You think I'm going to copy it? Like, look how badly that turned out for him. You can come see whenever you want. Yeah, it's fine. Like, come with us right now. Well, I would cut you off from all contact and trade him like they did me. God, that would be terrible and so out of character. Like, they take a lot of pop shots out of that. So if they can take that same kind of like, you know, the big Luke done dirty thing and like spin it would be hilarious. And but now there's almost too much, right? Now since this one, you've had 6 movies, like 2 spin-off movies, multiple animated series. You know what I mean? Like there's almost too, but like what do you satirize? There's so much. You know, I think the challenge will be like being focused and like picking out which things are that you want to satirize from each category of media, I guess, in Star Wars. There was a space. I want to say there was.
I just googled this 2008 Spaceballs the animated series. I'd never heard of this until Richie Crypto said it in the chat. I've never heard of the show. Was not on for very long.
Good sign, right?
Yeah, it was on Super Channel and G4. So that tells you everything you need to know. Yeah, went from 08 to 09. So,
yeah, 1 season.
There you go. So I'm sure there probably is some Spaceballs prequel parody out there, at least a little bit. Yeah.
You watched the movie, Donovan. Did you like it?
I do like Spaceballs. It's funny. It's a good parody. I've talked about this a lot with friends that like just the parody film is such a lost like art form. They just don't do it anymore.
It's a tough sell.
There was a phase where we were getting a lot of that. I mean, you go back to like Airplanes, also very funny, but even into the 90s and 2000s with, I think early 2000s was like the fever pitch where they were making parodies for everything and it became too much and it became really stupid, where you were getting like Vampires Suck and The Starving Games, and the movies became like unwatchably bad, and that's when that subgenre of comedy just went away entirely. But now we're seeing what's really an attempted resurgence of the genre, because we have Spaceballs in the works. I think it was 2 months ago, Paramount announced that they're doing a new Scary Movie, where Scary Movies has been dead for almost 10 years. That was another one of those like, you know, golden era parody movies from the late 90s into the 2000s. So
it launched
obviously,
an actor's career too. What was her? I can't remember her name, but
Anna Faris.
Anna Faris. That launched her career.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stand by. If she's not in the new Scary Movie they're gonna do, which I assume will be Scary Movie 6, then I'm like substantially less interested. But I say attempted resurgence because I don't know how any of these movies are going to do. Maybe they'll all be horrible and we'll realize this was a terrible idea. But could be fun. It's just the sense of steady trends. I think it's interesting to see them.
That's the thing about those parody movies is that like they have their moments, right? Like most of them are bad, but I remember the funniest scene that I'll remember from my entire life is in Scary Movie 3 when they're all standing outside the farmhouse and one of the actors cocks a shovel. And it's like, I don't know why that resonated with me. I'm just like, that was hilarious. Because like, that's what you do when you prove a situation is serious. There were no guns in the shot. So, and even they had like a bullet fly out of it too, which was just like, what? Sometimes that kind of humor can be really good. Just, it's about balance, right? It's about balancing it correctly. And
yeah.
not
Yeah,
giving up.
it'll be interesting. Uh, yeah, I'm very curious how they do it. Spaceballs, I think, has a better shot at being good because all you have to do is make fun of Star Wars, and there's nothing people love doing more these days than making fun of Star Wars. So I feel like there's just so much runway there. Scary Movie will be a bit more interesting, just because Scary Movie was originally a Scream parody, and we just had to do Scream movies come out. But then also, I love those original few Scary movies, but they are so crass and so like offensive with some of the humor in those movies. Where I wonder how they would tackle some of that stuff today in 2024, 25, I guess, when the movie will come out. But yeah, Spaceballs 2 coming back. It'll be interesting, Greg. And this isn't even the first Mel Brooks property that's gotten a recent revival, because History of the World was last year, right? And
Yeah, a few years
I
ago,
remember
yeah.
people not being too in love with that one, but you know.
It was like I said, sketch comedy's tough, and like when you have to couple that with history, because it's all based on like history. You have to know your history. The more you know the history, the funnier it was. So like, and I was pretty ignorant in that regard, so I didn't know a lot of it. You know, but I mean, like my friend knew a lot. He liked it, and he was but he's history buff, so he got a lot of the jokes. When you have to explain the joke, right? You're like, oh, okay, and you miss the punchlines, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Hey,
Listen up.
we all know
I'm
plenty
glad you
about
planned to
Star
find better
Wars,
home
so
today,
probably
guys.
less joke
Madison.
explaining there. But I look forward to seeing how it turns out. And Olaf, we're rooting for you. Now, before we get into our next story, which I'm very interested to dive into here, I should remind folks that you should follow the stream. Hit that heart icon right under the broadcast feed. And as a matter of fact, hit the notification bell as well so that you are notified every time the Shacknews Twitch channel goes live. Because Pop Goes the Culture is not our only show here. We've got Indielicious, we've got Steve Tendo, we've got Tekken It to the Lab. We're doing Mario Kart streams every now and then. We stream earnings calls. Sam Chandler's going to be streaming the Elden Ring DLC Shadow the Erd Tree this evening if you live in America. A lot of
Oh
fun
my
things to watch here on
god.
the Shacknews Twitch channel. Yeah, that'll be fun. I look forward to tuning in and just relishing in his misery. But of course, we're not just on Twitch. Shack News is all over the internet. We're on social media. We're on X at Shack News. We're on Instagram, Shack News Media. Facebook, we're Shack News, our top social platform there. We're on TikTok. And then we're even on YouTube, the rival video platform to the one we're on right now. Greg, take it away. How are things over on the YouTube side of the
Surprisingly
neighborhood?
busy, even though there's not a lot of content getting posted right now. Actually, I strike that, reverse it. There is a lot. We have a lot of short content going up. Aaron Asif Khan and Azmi here have stepped up to really help get more event coverage out there in our shorts department. Ozzy covered a Shovel Knight themed cafe. Also went to the Augmented World Expo 2024. I got a lot of shorts there and a lot of hands-on stuff. So I'm sure that stuff will go on the site eventually. Asif's been helping me tremendously on the video front as I prep for something next week. And I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to announce it here, but there's something big next week that we have lots of exclusive interviews with like big people. It might be today or tomorrow when we announce it. I don't know, but it's coming soon. So stay tuned for that and for all that stuff, because that's what I've been buried this whole week doing, coming back from Summer Games Fest and getting caught up there. And yeah, it's been a lot, but we're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it, and more importantly, you're doing it, putting in a lot of work over there on the Shack News YouTube channels, plural. But without further ado, I want to get into story number 3, Greg, because this is a very interesting one. We did not have a show last week because you were knee deep in Summer Game Fest, but some interesting news came out last week that Sony Pictures is acquiring Alamo Drafthouse, which, for those who aren't aware, Alamo Drafthouse is a theater chain. They are different than your AMC or Regal because Alamo Drafthouse is a bit more of a like, maybe I guess you would say like a prestige theater. Like they're supposed to be like about like the movie enjoying experience. That's the theater you go to, and then Usher will come out before the movie and talk to you. But also they serve drinks, and they have like a bar at Alamo Draft House. And they've got meals and stuff. You
Like
have
an
dinner
arc light,
there
right? Would you compare
and
it
a
to like an
movie.
arc light kind of?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. It is very much a like movie lovers movie theater chain. If you talk to cinephiles, they probably love Alamo Draft House. And now Sony Pictures, a movie studio, is buying the chain, which has led to a lot of concern and confusion, I feel like, in the film community. Because for folks who don't know, way back when in the olden days, it was normal for uh, movie studios to own theater chains. that's how a lot of the theaters were owned by movie studios, and that's how they distributed their movies was through their theaters. And then it became a question of competitiveness and monopolistic practices, and then rules were written in Hollywood so that we're separating church and state. The movie studios and the theaters will be owned separately, and they'll operate independently, and they'll just work with each other to show these films. And that lasted for about the last 6 or 7 decades. And I believe, I forget the year, but Sony will be the first major studio to own a theater chain in like 50, 60 years, I think. So obviously there's a lot of concern that comes with that, because people are like, well, what does that mean for competition? Is Sony going to just only show Sony movies at the Sony Alamo Drafthouse theaters? Are they going to, increase prices for Warner Brother and Disney movies? Like, a lot of interesting questions, I think, coming up about this. Also, just the precedent it sets, right? Like, does Disney see this and buy Regal or AMC? They've got the money to throw around if they just wanted to acquire another theater chain to compete.
Yeah, didn't they put in a bid for
But
Paramount too? Like I feel like they've been itching to buy something. Maybe this is one of the people that put a bid in for the Paramount lot.
Sony, yeah,
Yeah,
Sony was,
so
yeah,
I
Sony
think
tried to buy
they have
Paramount.
some like
Yeah,
capital they want to burn on something, right? For some reason that they will disclose later. But like this is instead of buying the Paramount lot, they bought Alamo Drafthouse.
yeah,
Probably cheaper.
which yeah, definitely cheaper, I would imagine. Yeah, so I want to just look at like what are the ramifications for this, because reading through the Variety article here, they say under its new ownership, Alamo Drafthouse will be managed under a newly established division, Sony Pictures Experiences. Um, and then they said that this is going to reinforce long-held commitment to theatrical exhibition and continued initiative with experiential entertainment. And then apparently Alamo's been looking to get sold or sell their company for the last several months, and they couldn't find a buyer. So they were secretly on the market anyway, which I think is pretty interesting. I just wonder what this means for that movie-going experience. Somebody who goes to the movies a lot, I'm curious what this means. I don't think that Sony would ever be like, "We're not gonna show Disney movies at the Sony theater or Warner Brothers movies," because that would just be asking to lose money. They're they're a big corporation, but they're not dumb. They know that they're gonna sell tickets to have people go see Star Wars and Marvel movies or whatnot. But I don't know, are they gonna do like early premieres, when the next Spider-Man movie comes out, they're gonna be like, oh, you can see it 2 weeks early at Alamo Drafthouse, or special Q&A with the cast at the Alamo Drafthouse in Hollywood. I think there are opportunities there, but I do worry that the other studios see this and then they all just buy up theaters, and then we go back to 1930s Hollywood, say?
I think they're gonna lean more heavily into like re-releasing, having special events, right? So like
Yeah,
having a screening of Ghostbusters, having a screening of Back to the Future, having a screening of whatever is in their library that they don't have to pay residuals for, right? That I think that's where it is, right? Bringing that experience back, seeing a movie you've watched 100 times in the
yeah.
theater, because like much like how flying used to be in the 50s, like the movie theater experience has changed. Like we talk about our theater and why we don't go see movies. We wanted to see Inside Out too. And then we sat down, we're like, wait a minute, do we really want to see that movie opening weekend in our theater? Not really, because people text, there's droves of children and teens, and they're rude and they vape, and
Kids.
it's very rough. So like, it's not an enjoyable experience, right? It's not a great enjoyable experience. And like having that the
Right.
Alamo Drafts House, like no talking, no text, stuff like that, with like where they actually like enforce that is like nice, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a different, it's that is the movie theater experience, right? That's the experience that a lot of, even up to in the 90s, was like, people were respectful and didn't do stuff in theaters. At least, well, when I went to the theaters, they weren't on their phones, they weren't talking, they weren't being rude, they were watching the film, and it was a different type. And it's kind of evolved into almost like something to do for 2 hours, but like people go in their droves of friends, and there can be that energy in the film, sure, but there can also be like energy can also be bad at times if it's a serious movie or a quiet movie. I remember watching a theater sometime, there was like a quiet moment or something, and some guy was like, "This sucks," and it was like, okay, cool. Nothing pulls you out of the theater more than someone loud mouthing in the back about how they're not enjoying the film.
Yeah, I hate that.
Could have done it afterwards on their podcast or on their YouTube channel, but nope, they had to do it inside the
Mm.
theater. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they'll lean in heavily to like those unique experiences. Like, don't miss the seeing Ghostbusters 1 and 2 this weekend at Alamo Drafthouse for like one weekend only, like that kind of stuff. I feel they'll lean into heavily, and there's a good market for that as well.
Yeah. Those are all fair points. Again, the optimistic side of me is somebody who likes going to the movie theaters. I'm like, hey, if this stopped Alamo Drafthouse from going out of business, it means that those theaters will just be around for the foreseeable future. Cool. I'm glad to see a studio committing to like theatrical distribution. I think
Yeah.
that's great. I do worry about what it can mean for competitiveness in the rest of the industry. Again, I just float the idea of Disney's like, oh, we want to own a theater chain too, and then Warner's like, oh, we want to own a theater chain too. That could get out of hand very quickly,
It
you
worked
know.
so well for the
But
streaming services, didn't it? Why not the theater?
you know, yeah. So I'm hoping things don't get too wacky and wild. But I do have this weird feeling now where I've never actually been to an Alamo Drafthouse because there's the closest one to me is an hour and a half away. It's in Washington D.C. and I've been
Yeah, I
meaning to
feel that.
go. I love going to the theaters. I'm been planning to go for a long time, and now I feel like I need to go soon because I'm like, man, if they like ruin this theater chain, I need to go before it like goes to shit.
You don't have an
Uh,
ArcLight that's closer? Because I would consider the ArcLight's like kind of similar. They're more expensive. The seats are nicer. We had one in LA, and that was a really nice theater, but tickets were also like double. It was also like $30 something to go to an ArcLight, but it
I
was
went
a
to
nice
I went to the
experience.
ArcLight Hollywood during was it E3? No, it might have been. I went for like a COD tournament one time, and I snuck off to like the ArcLight because I wanted to
Oh,
see a
it
movie
was
there.
COD. It was COD. Yeah, it was a COD event you went to. That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I snuck over, watched a movie at the ArcLight because I wanted to go to that theater, and glad I did because they shut it down. But yeah, I don't know. I think the closest is ArcLight. I think it's a similar. I think it's like an hour away, nothing
Yeah, that's
nearby.
rough. That's real
But
rough.
yeah, that's I've got other theater options. But yes, I will be going to an Alamo probably this summer. I need to get over there and see what the hell's going on. Just in the off case that this is all a horrible decision and the theater chain goes into the absolute rubble. I'd like to experience it before that happens. But without further ado, let's go ahead and move into a cheeky story number 4. So this is one I just threw in here because I thought it'd be a fun one to talk about. This is a trailer for Smile 2. And I guess in a vacuum, it's not the biggest story of the week, but I want to give some background to this one, Greg. So Smile was a horror movie that came out a couple years ago. I believe it was 2022. It was I think Universal published, or just, yeah, no, Paramount distributed it. But it's one of those horror movies that kind of came out of nowhere. It was made by this dude named Parker Finn, who made a short film called Laura Hasn't Slept, and he put it on YouTube. And the short film blew up, and then Paramount brought him in. He pitched it as a feature film, and then he got to write and direct the feature film adaptation of his short. And it's essentially about this demon that's treated like a disease, where it's like it possesses people and it gives them this like weird looking smile. They end their own lives, and then they do it in front of somebody like in a ritualistic way, and then the demon is passed on to that next person, and it's like this curse that just keeps getting handed off to people over and over. And Smile is about this therapist who has a patient come in with that demon and then gives it to her, and the movie's about her like trying to figure out the origin of this thing, how to get rid of it, what it means, all that. And it's like a surprisingly really good horror movie. When you watch the trailer for the first Smile, it seems like a random cheap jump scare, like bullshit paranormal horror movie that comes out every other weekend. And you watch it and you're like, oh wow, this has like really clever scares. It's like actually very tense. The story and lore is really unique. It's got some like commentary in there about green stuff. It's actually a very competent horror movie. And now they're doing the second one. Same dude, Parker Finn. He wrote and directed the sequel. But I think the fun thing about the sequel is it looks like it's just all new characters. It's about a pop star who's at like a concert, and I guess her fans bring it to her, and it just kind of goes haywire from there. You see, we've got Naomi Scott, who's a great actress. She was the Pink Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. Also, Princess Jasmine in the Aladdin remake. So she's been in some new projects, but she's a great actress. And I love the scene here at the end where she's about to autograph for the little kid, and she's just smiling at her, and they just cut the end of the trailer. But I'm looking forward to this. As far as like modern horror goes, just new ideas in horror, I think Smile is very fun. The marketing for these movies are brilliant. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when the first one was coming out, Paramount just kept hiring people, actors, to go smile at random events. So they had somebody at like a baseball game standing behind like the pitcher, just behind the fence, just like smiling into the camera. Stuff like that I think is really fun. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it should be fun. But
So you kind of elaborate. So is can the person who's targeted by the demon, is like the smiles are psychological, like she's seeing them but no one else is seeing them, or are they actually smiling, or is it like left up to your imagination?
I believe it's psychological. I believe you're seeing it, but other people are not. I believe is how it goes. Something else I think is really cool about, just from a production standpoint, all the smiles, I believe, are completely practical. There was a horror movie that came out of like 4 or 5 years ago called Truth or Dare, and it had Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars in it. And it was something similar where people were like, before they died, they would smile, but it was like the CGI, like lips up to their eyeballs, kind of weird, cartoony smile. I think in this one, it's all practical. Like they just have the actors do a good old at the camera, which I think is funny that they have all mastered that sinister looking smile. But I think it's psychological, where it's like you see the demon, but the other people don't. Because the
Right.
first one starts off, her therapist is like, please help me. Oh my God, it's right behind me. It's like, it's right here. It's right in the room with us. And she's just like, what do you? Yeah, this is the scene from the beginning. Where, and that's the main character in the original is Sosie Bacon. It's Kevin Bacon's daughter. She's really good in this movie. And the woman in her chair who's like freaking out is the main actress from the short film called Laura Hasn't Slept. So when the dude made the feature, he brought her in to play the opening character, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, it's like this weird psychological trip, and kind of came out of nowhere, did really well. This trailer is great. The original Smile, I believe this is the one that has an excellent scare towards the end of it, which I feel like we might have even watched in the show at one point. But it's a great horror series. They have A-Train from The Boys as the husband in this movie, so that's fun if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, I recommend this first Smile movie a lot, and I'm looking forward to the second one. I think it comes out in a few months, so should be.
I think like this like supernatural elements can be really fun in horror if they're handled correctly. You know what I mean? Like I like the idea of, like you said, like a demon going from person to person, like what kind of demon is it, and like establishing that lore, and then like making a sequel that has nothing to do with the first movie other than like the established demon lore. You know what I mean? Like the demons in a different situation. I think they did that with Paranormal Activity, I think too. Like it was the same concept, but different families in different houses. I believe it was something like that.
Yeah, but Paranormal Activity was more like a familial connection, but yeah, it was also following different groups of people. I like that TJ points out, kind of reminds me of It Follows, but more overtly aggressive. It does have shades of It Follows, where It Follows is a similar thing where it's a demon, but it's transferred by having sex with people. And then it's like they'll be stalked by this demon, and the only way to get rid of it is by having sex with somebody. And obviously the people passing it on are doing so unbeknownst to the person they're sleeping with. It Follows is great. That movie's getting a sequel too, but it's a similar thing, right? Where you kind of, oh god, the car scene at the end of this trailer, horrifying, absolute horrifying jump scare. Seeing that for the first time, watching that movie is terrifying. It's so good. But
definitely a demon. Yeah, definitely some type of demon, which is kind of cool.
The lore in Smile, I think you would be pretty fascinated in the way that they like explain it and
well,
dig
like that's
into
the cool thing, right? I think that's what makes things like Five Nights at Freddy's so popular is it creates a discussion, right? And once you have the discussion going, it just barrels out of control. Like there are tons of different fan fictions and theories and stuff like that, but that's what makes it popular, right? Is you can sit down and be like, what did this mean to you? Oh, I thought it meant this. Oh, interesting. I thought it meant this. And then you have that discussion. And then in horror movies like this, where, is it a demon? Is it a spirit? Like, how do you kill it? How do you remove it? Like that kind of stuff. It creates discussion, creates a community around discussion, which is always good when a movie does that.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And also, I just love when these indie filmmakers get a chance to adapt their projects for the big screen. Like Parker Finn, again, was a short filmmaker. He had this cool idea for a short film called Laura Hasn't Slept. It was a contained, like 10-minute short film about this woman who goes to like her psychiatrist or therapist's office, and it's just the psychological horror movie that takes place over the course of 10 minutes. And it was a great, cool, contained concept. And then he turned it into this huge thing. And it reminds me of like Lights Out, where David F. Sandberg, Lights Out was like a short film about this like demon that only existed when you turn the lights off and you turned them on and it went away. And then he turned it into a feature film, and then the dude went on to fucking direct Shazam. I think another one he did. That was his big break, and he got to make
the horror director. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he got to make $100 million comic book movie. And then even now, I forget the name of the kid. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but it's the kid who made the Backrooms YouTube channel with all those like weird analogical horror shorts. And now they're making a Backrooms horror movie for A24. His kid's like 17, and he's going to direct a feature film. I just love stories like that, where people have these ideas. And
we're at that point now. Like Spielberg's too old. Like the generations that I grew up with are old now. They're very old. They can't. I mean, not that they can't, but like they're just they're retirement age, and now not everyone can be James Gunn, right? James Gunn's also getting old. Like it's time for like a new a new plethora of
Everyone's looking for new
filmmakers.
blood.
Yeah.
James Wan, Jordan Peele can only make so many
Yeah,
movies
exactly. Yeah,
at a
exactly. They
time.
can't carry the
So
flag
yeah,
solo forever, right?
yeah. So I'm always just excited to see new blood. I'm happy for Parker Finn. I look forward to watching Smile too. I think it's probably going to be a lot of fun when it comes out. Also funny that this is coming out within the next few months. I think this is in October, and then in August the M Night Shyamalan movie Trap comes out, which is also at a concert and it was a horror movie, which I thought was funny that there's two horror movie concert movies coming out 2 months apart. It's like an Armageddon Deep Impact situation where it's like these two movies that are completely unrelated creatively, just have such similar ideas and themes, and they come out back to back. Just random stars aligning in the cinema
The
sort of
cinema, the
experience.
theater, the
Yeah. Hmm.
filmmaking.
All right. So now we're gonna get into some quick hits here. We're just gonna bust through a couple of these stories before we get to reviews. Greg, Netflix made an interesting announcement. We talked about
I read
in-person
this.
movie experiences with Alamo Drafthouse. Netflix has announced Netflix House, which is going to be a massive entertainment center, a physical building. They're making two of them. One's going to be in Dallas, Texas, and the other one's going to be in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And essentially, they are going to, this is how they're described in this article from Variety. They're going to feature a wide variety of shopping outlets, eateries, and experiential activities tied to the streamer's major franchises like Bridgerton, Stranger Things, and Squid Game. And these places are going to span 100,000 square feet, which I'm not an architect, but I think that's a lot of space. I think those are going to be large properties that Netflix is building. Um, Interesting one because obviously Netflix's entire business exists digitally and in the cloud, and they don't
Hmm.
really have any sort of physical print anywhere in the world. There aren't Netflix stores or anything. The closest thing you'll see to Netflix in the real world is Stranger Things on Blu-ray at Target. That's it. So I think them wanting to get into IRL experiences is interesting. Uh, I'll say that King of Prussia, Pennsylvania is like 45, 50 minutes from where I live, although I'm in Maryland. It's just over the border. We used to go to King of Prussia Mall when I was in high school. That was like the cool mall to go to because it's fucking massive and you could walk around it for days. So I'll probably go to this when it opens. It's gonna open next year. I'll go check it out. Maybe I'll vlog it for Pop Goes the Culture for the sake of the art, you know. Um, but I do wonder what the hell this is going to be. They say eateries, shopping outlets, and experiential activities. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be the Stranger Things store. You can get a Demigorgon soda drink hat or whatever the hell. Or maybe you can pretend like you're in Bridgerton and eat in London. I don't know where Bridgerton takes place. Uh, Squid Game. I don't know. Netflix has a lot of IP that they can squeeze into this, but what is this going to be like a massive souped up Netflix themed Dave and Buster's? Like, it's interesting that it's not a movie theater. Like they specifically do not call it a movie theater. Are you going to show Netflix movies here? Is my question. I feel like the answer is no.
No.
But I think this is an interesting idea, nonetheless. Greg, are you going to go to Netflix House?
I mean, like with consumerism in general, we have trends, right? And they go in and out of trends. Like the best thing I can think of is like the best comparison is like kind of drive through. In the 50s, car culture was a huge thing, and like so drive-throughs were born out of that culture, right? And then as that started to get a little bit more, just started to change. I don't know what exactly cast, like I think the size and space is what had to do with it, but it kind of moved into other things, and then movie theaters became big again. And now with COVID, since COVID, kind of events and stuff has been like dead, right? There's been so many rules and rules and regulations. If you have events, people were scared to go out because COVID was a serious thing, and they didn't want to get sick. And now, like
Yeah,
this is 4 years later. That's high school. That's around to high school, and like now we're gonna start getting a generation that wants to go out and do stuff again, right? So maybe this is
yeah,
like an attempt to see like if our consumer culture is ready to do the mall thing again, because like malls are like arguably I'd say malls are dying. Like I'm a little bit in an interesting situation because I live in a rural part of California where we have two malls and both are basically dead. Like we have the mall in Santa Rosa and we have a mall. There's two malls in Santa Rosa. Both of them are like practically empty. Like they're a lot of for lease spaces. There's not a lot of unique stores in them, and like they're just dying. And then the mall culture has been dying for a while. And I think COVID is what really sealed it. And now just like trends go up and down. Like okay, cool. The malls are dying. People are, but now there's going to be this generation of new blood that's going to want to go do something. When I was a kid, I used to hang out at malls. Like that was my thing that we did. If we were bored, we'd drive to the mall or walk to the mall or whatever. And like judging where that culture will go, that's what it is. It's also I think it's a also ploy to not a ploy and also a tactic to increase tourism in these two cities. Maybe tourism is also down like across. I can't tell you how many travel ads I get every day on my feeds across the board. See Dallas, see Hawaii, see Alaska, see Seattle, because like the tourism trade is down since COVID, arguably down. Like it affects revenue, like to the tourism culture in San Diego. Like Comic-Con is what fuels that city every year. Like, do you know how much money that city gets when Comic-Con? Like the restaurants, hotels, like a ton, a crap ton of money, right? And just like in Jaws, but on a bigger, more complex scale, like San Diego relies on that surge of income every July. That's why they've never moved it. Because if they move it, if they lose it from San Diego and goes to Las Vegas or whatever, they're thinking about it for decades. They keep saying they're going to move it. All those businesses are expecting that income increase in July. All of them do, especially in the Gaslight district. So in the Gas Lab district, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting concept. I'm not familiar enough in youth culture to like know if like malls are gonna make a comeback, if that's the thing kids do now, because I feel like kids hang out with their friends online and they don't go anywhere, and they play Fortnite, they play Roblox, they do Minecraft, they don't go to the malls to hang out in person, right? Like that's just a cultural thing. This may be jumping the gun in my opinion. I think they're trying to do it a little too fast. I think it's going to take a decade or so for those kids to get tired of just having a digital relationship with their friends and want to go do something with their friends. Yeah. So I just think I think they're jumping the gun on it a little bit too fast, too quickly, desperately trying to get tourism back and get people out and doing consumerism things outside of their house.
I think what's interesting is that Netflix has kind of been like ramping up for this for a few years now, it feels like, because as this article from Variety points out, like they've done pop-ups for years now, like little mini come for 2 weekends or for 1 month, in LA, Orlando, they'll do like a Stranger Things
We
pop-up. And
did
it's
we
like
did
you
one
go
in San
through like
Francisco. We did that in San Francisco. Yeah.
they've done stuff like that for their shows and movies. Last year they did Netflix Bites, which was like a restaurant they put in Los Angeles. It was like a little pop-up that was only there for like a few weeks, and they had like food themed after The Witcher and random shit like that, and they got rid of it. So this is seemingly like taking all those ideas and then blending them into a one permanent like fixture, like Netflix House is supposed to be. And could be interesting. I think that you're right that like people don't go to malls and stuff like that. But to that note, I think it's very smart where they're putting these, because on paper, if you told me this was a thing and you're like, now where do you think it's going to be? I would have been like, I don't know, Los Angeles and
Yeah,
New York
LA.
City,
Like
like
this
that.
is the
Yeah, I
LA.
was like where everything gets put. But they're doing Dallas, Texas, and King of Prussia in Pennsylvania. I've never been to Dallas, so I can't speak to it, but it seems like a very hot and populated city.
It
But
is.
King of Prussia specifically is a hot young person. I don't want to say tourist destination because it's just young people driving over state lines to go there. But like for that 18 to like 24, 25 demographic, King of Prussia Mall is like the Disney World of shopping malls. Like people drive an hour to go there just because you can walk around that mall for 5 hours and not go to all the stores. So I think doing it in King of Prussia is a good idea. It says in this article it's going to be an extension of that mall. It's going to just take over whatever department stores shut down, J.C. Penney or
Sears or
Macy's or
JC
whatever the
Penney,
hell.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that they'll have, if it's a good idea, it will be successful there because they have a great location for it. I think if it fails there, then it's probably not the best idea. I think it's also interesting that the article says that Netflix doesn't see this as like the next leg of their business. Like they're not going to make 20 of these stores in the United States. They more so look at them as just like a special little thing to have as like marketing and something to drive engagement, which I guess makes sense when you have the next season of Squid Game. Guess what, guys? It's Squid Game night at the Netflix house. They'll have all the masks and shit, and you can come play red light, green light with the employees,
Completely missing
sort
the
of
point of
thing.
the show. Come live it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're terrible consumers. But no, I can also guarantee that
Yeah.
those two areas are surrounded by colleges. Like that's the demographic
Yeah.
that likes to go out and do stuff. Is you said
Definitely.
18 to 25, right? They want to go do stuff. I'm in my crotchety old
Mhm.
phase where I don't want to leave the house and do anything unless I have to.
Yeah.
But like when you're young, you don't
Greg's
want
not
you,
itching
you're
for
cooped.
this.
You're in a small apartment, sharing it with roommates or whatever. You want to get out and do stuff. You're also dating. You have to go out to do that. You have to that kind of stuff. So I guarantee
Yeah.
like there's a lot of colleges in the area that they're like. This was not like a random dart throw. This was definitely like premeditated.
No, that was
like,
very
very
calculated
calculated.
location
Yeah,
placement
move. Very calculated.
for that.
Ridiculous move.
Yeah, which I mean, it's smart if you're trying to make money. TJ, our Texas resident on the Shacknews staff, Dallas is very high population. It's not really a tourist destination, though, in my opinion. It's just a cool place to live. Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, I'm sure they want to bring in the locals there. Uh, we've got one more quote here to read, and then we can kind of wrap up this discussion. At Netflix House, you can enjoy regularly updated immersive experiences, indulge in retail therapy, and get a taste, literally, of your favorite Netflix series and films through unique food and drink offerings. I mean, sign me up for the Hawkins freaking cocktail, whatever, the upside down bomb drink, whatever they're gonna have
The
at
upside
that
down drop
bar.
is like 18, but it's like 25% alcohol. You just get trashed.
I mean, that sounds like a good time.
Right, right.
At least to me at the tender age of 25 here. Uh, this comes from Marion Lee, Netflix's CMO. We've launched more than 50 experiences in 25 cities, and Netflix House represents the next generation of our distinctive offerings. The venues will bring our beloved stories to life in new, ever-changing, and unexpected ways. Uh, Outside of each Netflix house, you'll see sculptures and a mural mashup of characters from popular Netflix titles, according to the company. As examples of what to expect, the brick and mortar at the brick and mortar complexes, the company says, "Imagine waltzing with your partner to an orchestral cover of a Taylor Swift song or a replica of the Bridgerton set, and then walking around the corner to compete in the Glass Bridge Challenge from Squid Game. Visitors can visit a restaurant with food inspired by Netflix shows from around the world, and then browse the store with merch such as that Hellfire Club T-shirt you always wanted from Stranger Things." Here's what I'll say: the Netflix house may end up being a very fun place to go,
Yeah.
and it may be a very cool idea. It sounds cool, but I do kind of hate these statements because they all all these quotes sound like, "Do you want to consume even harder? Do you want to be a bigger consumer than you already are? Please consume. Come listen to that very popular artist while walking through the show from that very popular show, and then go to the set from this popular movie, and then buy that shirt from the very beloved season of that popular show." I'm like, we get it. We love Stranger Things. I get it.
You want,
Yes,
yeah,
I
you
know.
want money. You want my money. Yes.
It's
Next is
yeah,
like, yes, please. You're spending it. You're spending
yeah,
it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But like that's the thing,
yeah.
right?
That
Like
is
malls were born out
arguably
of
what this
consumer
is.
culture, right? That was the big thing. Like in the 80s, people shopped because the economy was great. I'll just great. What?
Roman.
Yeah, Reaganomics. Go Reaganomics. Yeah, but like now, like I feel like it's they have people who do these studies, right? And like their little pop-ups, like you said before, like have been very successful, but they're not. Oh, we have somebody here.
Mhm.
Who do we have? We
A fan of the Netflix
got a fan
house.
of the Netflix house.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting
I
concept. Just to finish my thought before Austin pops in, I think it's an interesting concept, and they have probably people who have studied it and analyzed it to see if it's good. And only time will tell.
Mhm.
I don't know how the economy. Good thing Austin's here. The economy. I don't know where it's going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now. If it's going to be great, terrible, or whatever. It seems to be getting worse. So I don't know if rampant consumerism is the answer to fixing the economy. Asif, thoughts?
This feels like when Amazon bought Whole Foods.
Oh, wait, they did.
Well,
I
that's going
forgot
great.
about that.
Like they're like, we've now defeated all of the brick and mortar businesses, so now we're going to become one.
Yeah.
And then Donovan, that PR blurb that you just read about experiencing the franchises that you love in person and being able to
Yeah.
buy things. This just seems like it's gonna fail. I'm sorry. This is like stupid. I don't get it.
I feel that way too, but like I'm also like look at
There's
my
two
back
of 'em?
wall. Like I'm a
There's
victim of
just two of 'em?
consumerism too. Like we all are. Like we all have the thing, right, that we spend the money on. Like
Mhm.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dallas,
but yeah,
Texas,
like
King of Prussia.
have you been like, damn, I need a place where I can just buy all my favorite Netflix TV show gear? Like, no. I've never been like, oh man.
No.
And I don't think that's something you're gonna impulse buy either. Like the whole thing about malls, Greg, and I think you brought up some really good points about the death of the mall, but like why malls worked was they had windows you would walk by, you'd see something and window shopped, right? Like that era's gone. Like people just go to Amazon and buy what they need there, you know? So like where I don't what is the problem that's being solved here by Netflix House? I guess is my question.
Expansion
And
from
like
digital services, I think. They want to start expanding into like merchandising. And
but they killed the
yeah.
movie theater.
They
They're
did.
the ones who killed it. And now they're
They-
like, oh, I guess we should build one. It's like, I don't know. Like, are things
Yeah.
that bad at the streaming side of the business that they have to do this? Like, I don't understand why now and where they're choosing to do it. Like, King of Prussia is like, it does feel like the kind of town where experimental things like this do pop up. And Dallas makes sense because it's huge. But like,
Right.
Why? I just don't get it. I don't. No. I'm a Netflix subscriber. I watch their shit. Watched Godzilla on it this weekend. It was great. But like,
Yeah,
in
I think
no
it's
world, I'm like, I need to go buy Godzilla merch at Netflix house.
yeah, I think they just want it as an extension of their like marketing arm, so that when the next season of The Witcher, Stranger Things rolls out, they don't have to do a pop up somewhere and rent a property in LA. They can just be like, come to the Netflix house, and all
So
the
this
characters will be there, or whatever the hell.
so this could just be a place that they do like PR events at too. Like it
Yeah,
could just become like kind of like a Disney store, like the Nintendo store in New York. You know how
that's
they
what I was
have like,
thinking. Like,
Yeah,
their
how's
own
it? How's the
Nintendo
Disney
kind of
store
thing.
doing nowadays? Oh wait, that's right. They shut the most of them down.
yeah, all of them are basically gone. The Nintendo stores work because there's not many of them.
There's only 3,
globally.
right? There's
Yeah.
one in Japan,
Yeah.
New York, and now LA. That's it.
There's 2 in Japan now.
Sorry, 2. So there's 4.
Yeah.
4 worldwide. Like that's the thing. It's a
Yeah.
destination
Yeah.
experience, and I think that's the same thing they're trying to do. They're trying to make it like a destination experience, right?
But like your
Yeah.
customers don't like leaving the house.
Yeah,
I don't. But
That's
I don't know
the
how,
one
like,
difference
if you're
here.
20, if you're 21 years old and in college dating, I think you leave the house more than I do. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Different demographic for sure. Youth demographic.
Sure, but like
go meet Bay at the Netflix house.
But like also if you're right, because like it doesn't like a permanent fixture seems like a terrible idea. Like do a pop-up. Like that's much less cost effective. It's limited, so people like kind of rush to do it because it's only, 4 weekends. Having a permanent structure seems like a mistake.
Is this also like this is like an official movie theater, right? Like
So-
No.
Here's the thing. I don't think so. I don't think they're
Okay.
showing screening at this thing. I think this is just like a restaurant and like shopping thing.
oh
'Cause they-
god.
Yes.
They don't
it's-
So you
mention
can't
screening.
even
Yeah, that's what I was telling Greg. I'm like, they
Yeah.
don't mention screening anything once in here. They don't say watch Stranger Things or the new episode. None of that. They say,
wow,
hold
this is
on.
even dumber.
Yeah, it's
That's dumber than I thought.
will feature a wide array of shopping outlets, eateries, and experiential activities tied to the streamer's major franchises. They don't say like, come sit down and I don't know. I mean, that would at least be something if they're like, hey, you can watch the last episode of Stranger Things a week early with an audience of people. I mean, that would at least be like a cool thing to do, I guess. But I don't even think they're doing that, unless they just haven't ironed those details out yet. But
I'm
Yeah.
playing the scene from
Strange.
South Park where like where they did the sub High Town, because that's what it feels like, right? It feels like a move to get tourism back into these locations to make it a go-to destination, because like I don't think anyone wakes up and goes like, I want to go to
But
Dallas on my
Who the
vacation.
fuck is gonna go
Yeah.
to another city for a Netflix fucking store? No one's doing this except for Donovan.
There are people who go to New York just for the Nintendo store sometimes. Like I've heard people who want to just want to visit for that reason. That's, you know what I mean?
I
There'll be
thought-
somebody out there.
Honestly, I thought that this was a movie theater that had like a gift shop, and now you're telling me there's not even a movie
it's just
theater here.
no, it's a large gift shop with a restaurant. Squires and
So it's
Chester,
like a
there's
Hard
no
Rock
way they're.
Cafe.
I mean, Squire said there's no way there would be no theater experience. I'm with you, but they also just don't mention one at all, which seems
Very
like not
weird.
an accident. Yeah, that doesn't seem like an accident. I
Because
feel
like
they would.
I thought the whole thing was like occasionally when they want to be considered for Oscars, they have to put movies out in theaters. Maybe
They do,
building your own theater would work for that. I thought
Right.
maybe there was some logic behind this, but that's not even here.
No.
No.
And
No.
Greg keeps showing the same trailer. Of
It's
City
because that's
Lights.
what it is, man. Like it's consumerism. Like Donovan said, they want you to eat, drink, and like buy stuff there. But like the economy.
This was about gentrification, though, Greg. You're missing the point of this
Okay, well-
episode.
is
I
part,
just
yeah.
want to point it out. Like this was the whole point of this show. This episode was about wealthier people moving into South Park.
Sci-Fi
and,
town,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, city pot of town,
Yeah.
like shitty part of town. It's like the whole joke. It's a great episode, but like it's just one building here, Greg. And I agree with you. Like one store cannot save a mall at all, because you
It's a
still have a
big building,
Macy's.
though.
You still have like I don't know what the hell they have at King of Prussia, like retail wise, but like there's probably like a Nordstrom's or something there. But
Probably.
like, do you go to the mall?
No,
Not
it's-
often,
I mean,
no.
like very seldom, because our mall, like I said,
I've
Donovan,
been
our
to the
mall
mall
is dead.
Once
But
this
like I
year.
live in an interesting, like Donovan's mall is probably more kicking because it's more of a
Hmm.
bigger city.
I mean, now I live in a college town, so the mall near me is like one of the bigger ones in the state. So that one is pretty poppin'. But
and
other
I
than
just
that,
got back from
not really.
SoCal to one of the richest, rightest cities in the world, and like their mall is like it's fucking huge, like ridiculously huge.
Which one though? Are you talking about the Irvine Mall?
Temecula Valley
Temecula Mall?
It's
I mean,
gigantic.
like,
it's huge.
forget SoCal malls, man. They're all outdoor and like they don't count. I'm talking about real America here.
Real
And like
America.
real America they're not going to the mall anymore. Like the only reason you go to the mall that's near our office here in Canton is like it has a good food court. Good, I guess. But like by good, it has an Orange Julius, a Sbarro, and a Chick-fil-A.
Jeez.
Dude,
The mall
it's
has
so
5
bad here.
Annie Ants.
The
It has 5
McDonald's,
Annie Ants pretzels in the mall. Why do we need that many Annie Ants in this mall?
the McDonald's left the mall. The
Oh, it's
Taco,
because King of Prussia's huge.
how bad is your mall when you lose the Burger King, the McDonald's, and the Taco Bell in the food court? Like it's
Yeah,
it's that
That's
rough.
no good.
So
That
I
is no
just
good.
yeah, but like
Mhm.
why? I don't get this. But you know, good for them. They have too much money clearly, and
Yeah, I mean, look, Netflix House is going to open in 2025. I'll brave the journey to King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and I'll report back. Maybe I'll vlog it and then let everybody know how the.
oh, there's a GameStop in that mall. How about
You
that?
know,
A lot
yeah,
of upper
King of Prussia has
class,
everything.
like,
There's a shit
clothing
ton of stuff there.
stores.
I would say not for long if it's a GameStop. But, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's also true. I wanted to mention another quick hit story we have here. That just this news came out like minutes before we went live, and I thought it was too funny to not mention. Do you remember that horror movie Megan that came out last year about the robot child
Yeah.
that was killing people? They're making a spinoff called Soulmate, which is going to be about a man who acquires an artificially intelligent android to cope with the loss of his recently deceased wife. In an attempt to create a truly sentient partner, he inadvertently turns a harmless love bot into a deadly soulmate. That's going to come out in 2026. And it's going to be a horror movie about a guy who has a sex robot that becomes evil.
Is it just called
I think that sounds
Soulmate? I can't
hilarious.
find it. I'm not finding it.
It's in our run of show. It's
I'll pick it up.
the last link in our
I
run of show here.
really hated the marketing for Megan.
You hated Megan dancing?
Yeah, everything has to have a dance now because that's how it goes
No,
viral.
it was the other stuff, like she's your BFF or something. It was this whole like creepy. I just got served so many ads for it on Twitter, I remember, and I blocked it. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Twitter ad, so I block every Twitter. And if you run an ad on Twitter, I'm blocking you. Even if you're like an individual. If you're an individual running an ad on Twitter, what the hell's wrong with you? But like, like, you know, I'll see like the gold check mark, and it's just some like 10 follower account. But yeah, like Megan, I didn't like the marketing around it, so no.
Well,
But this
there
sex
is no
robot,
trailer. Okay, I was looking for a trailer, but
No, they just announced that this movie exists or that this is being made. They have not
That's-
even shot it yet. There's no trailer.
that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's topical. Like that seems like pretty close to reality.
Yeah.
I just think of that Robot Chicken sketch where like he's showing it at the animatronic and he's talking about how advanced it is, and the one guy goes, "Can you?" And he's like, "No," and they go, "Oh," and they all leave angrily.
I haven't seen that one.
No, it's.
I mean, that's where this is all headed.
Yeah, how
But
long
isn't,
before
like,
this
wasn't
becomes
Megan
a
like?
reality?
So is. Oh, and it's with 8, dude. Fuck that. Just no.
Soulmate.
No.
Yeah, because Megan uses a 3 because she's a robot.
Well, then why is it soulmate then with TE after it?
Soulmatey. Yeah, it should just be soul. It should just be soul, and then the number 8 should be the end of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That probably looks worse on documents and.
It looks stupid. It's a stupid idea, and Megan with the 3 was stupid too. This is all dumb.
It was. They made fun of it though, because Chucky in the Chucky show, he was like, "I'm calling out you, Mithrigan." And he made fun of the name.
Mithrigan.
See?
Fanstick 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fanforstick, yeah, is another one. Yeah, they'll never learn the lesson with those. But Megan was fun. That's a good horror movie. That's a good little modern tech horror movie. I think this could be funny. I'm surprised this movie doesn't exist yet. It sounds like her, but a horror movie, which could be hilarious. And like you said, it's topical. Who knows by 2026 what the hell we'll be doing with AI? So, it'd be an interesting film to see.
I have no comment on.
Yeah,
I don't want
knows?
to
It's
comment on
scary.
the sex robot implications of AI.
If Futurama was any, remember? I don't think Donovan saw this. Futurama did the episode where like they had the sex
Lucy
robots
Lubot?
and society stopped working because everything we had done was to impress the opposite sex, and everything just fell apart. So they had to ban them because no one was doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I for one will be seated for Soulmate and Megan 2.0 when they hit theaters over the next couple of years. So
Wait,
there's that.
they're making another Megan and Soulmate.
Oh yeah, Megan 2.0 has been on the
Oh
books.
yeah,
That comes out in
that
June
movie made a
next
shit
year.
ton of money.
Megan was one of the highest earning horror movies last year. I think FNAF overtook it, but it was still up there as far as original horror movies, 2023. But
Mm.
yeah, just want to mention that quick here. Let's get into a review segment because we had a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do. There's a lot of stuff I saw last week.
Greg saw Hitman. I saw Inside Out 2. Also, you saw Godzilla -1.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you take it away here? Tell us about the greatest kaiju movie ever made that you watched.
It is the best Godzilla movie, right? Like it felt like it.
To me, yeah, 100%.
I thought it was a very interesting pacing, right? Because like at times you're like, okay, wow, like right at the beginning you're like, oh, there's Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like a crazy build up to like the monster reveal that you've seen in some of the other films. It just starts out with just carnage, which I like. But the story I find very interesting. The story of a kamikaze pilot who couldn't bring himself to kill himself. And then just the karma, like the karmic debt of doing that, and like how counterintuitive that is, because like it was a society where killing yourself was the most honorable thing you could do at that time for the country, and there was like a lot of nationalism built into it. But by the end of the movie, you kind of see the cultural shift of like realizing that that was not really a smart thing to do. And I don't want to spoil the movie, but like the ending has this thing in it where you're like, oh, that's cool. That little twist at the end, Donovan, like right at the end, I thought was neat. But the amount of terrible things that happen to this person throughout the movie, it's like Job-like, right? Like it's like biblical amounts of terrible things that happen to this person. And I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, the visual effects are outstanding. It's one of the coolest looking Godzillas ever. I like how he charges up and he has that like blue laser. So yeah, it's like, it's not a popcorn flick. I don't think.
No.
Like it's not like a Michael Bay, you just watch the carnage unfold kind of film. Godzilla shows up like 3 or 4 times in the movie. Each time, awesome scenes, really interesting stuff going on. But they're not like overdone and long. But yeah, I think Godzilla -1 might be my favorite Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
It's funny because the exact opposite of this movie is that terrible Godzilla Kong movie. And I've seen the discourse on social media about like -1 sucks. Godzilla Kong was awesome. It's just the complete opposite of what this is. Like complete opposite. You know, just a stupid popcorn movie with like real no plot. Just Godzilla smashing things for 2 hours and fighting alongside King Kong for 2 hours.
I didn't dislike Godzilla versus Kong though. Although there are some really weird things that happen in that movie that are bordering on really dumb. But like, like how is there light down there in the cave where the last Kong is? But whatever. But like, this was interesting in that they just didn't, like, at no point are you like, oh, they're gonna stop Godzilla here. Like Godzilla is like OP in this film.
You can't stop him. That's the whole point.
He's terrifying.
With,
Every time Godzilla shows up on screen in -1, it's horrifying. He's like a horror movie villain. You are very scared every time he appears.
Scary things are happening. Trains are being eaten and thrown. I like how Godzilla just throws shit.
Yeah.
Grab a train and just throw it across the city. He gives no fucks. And it's like his laser beam, whatever, his like weapon is like a nuclear bomb. And there's definitely the undertone of post-World War II all over this film. So I really think that's one of the most interesting parts of the movie is like, they do show Japan grappling with coming out of World War II, which they lost, right? And they got beaten down by the US. And the United States and the Russians telling them they're not going to help with this Godzilla problem. I think that's kind of interesting because they're like, they mentioned something like they don't have any planes left. Like there's no like fighter jets left
they
in
restricted
Japan.
their military. Yeah, they got heavily.
Yeah. They're stripped of your military, and there's this freaking giant kaiju coming to town.
Just come walking out of the ocean. Yeah, I mean, they might tell a Godzilla story with a great human story at the center of it, which nobody else can seem to do. So
yeah, I don't think they've ever done that successfully, Donovan, and it is a great human story, and it's like you feel bad for the guy. I think by the middle, or even like I think they do a good job of making you feel bad for the guy. But at the same time, when he comes back to his village and he finds out just everything that's happened while he was gone, yeah, it's a heartbreaking story at times.
Smart artistic movies with like strong character development are a hard sell. Like if I was 16 and you showed me a trailer for -1 and Godzilla versus Kong, I'd pick Kong. You know, because I'm 16. You know what I mean? Like what the hell do I know what a good movie is at that age, right? Like it's you pick the one that's louder, more visual effects, and it's two monsters fighting. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is.
Also, you mentioned visual effects. Worth noting, this is the first Godzilla film to win an Oscar. It won Best Visual Effects, and then the VFX team all went on stage with Godzilla shoes and little Godzilla action figures to accept their Oscars, which was
that's great.
Arguably
It's
the best.
super deserving, man. It was visually stunning, and they did a good job of like building really like realistic environments for their different set pieces, but also like you're in war-torn Japan. Like there's still just buildings that have been blown up already, and yeah, it's really interesting seeing they picked a very cool backdrop for this that I think elevated it a lot. You like there's a lot of storytelling there.
It's a period piece. You know what I mean? Like when's the last time we've had a Godzilla period piece? You know what I mean? Like that's super cool.
Have we ever had a story about a kamikaze pilot like this? I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe somewhere in Japanese cinema there is, but none that I've heard of.
I think it took a while for American culture to do that, to like have that socially acceptable, I guess, in our little world after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely played a factor. I'm not saying it's a sole factor, but it's definitely you know what I mean. Like try selling that to a studio in the 80s or 90s. Like no, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like you are seeing a lot of action in this, and the action scenes are masterfully choreographed. They're very fun to watch, and like so it's not that there isn't that element of action in it. There is, but it feels like it's like 10 minutes of crazy action, 30 minutes of like plot, and then like another 10 15 and then like here's like another 10 minutes, and then here's like more plot. I love that there's a scene where Godzilla just destroys a prefecture in Japan. That's an amazing action scene. So like I don't want to just say I wasn't impressed with the action. Like I was. This is a very impressive film on both fronts.
I feel like it also I haven't seen it. I want to watch it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've read reviews on it, and I feel like the same thing. It comes back to Godzilla's not an evil thing. He's just a force of nature, right? Like a tsunami or a storm. Like you can't stop it. He's just there. He's not doing it purposely. He's not doing it because he hates people. He's just an animal. You know what I mean? Following his nature. So like he's just a force of nature that you can't stop. Like you said, Austin, like how do you stop that? How do you stop a hurricane? How do you stop an avalanche? You know what I mean? Like you just have to just weather it. Like, and that's what they have to do. That's one of the themes, right? Weathering the destruction that he causes.
And the other cool thing that they do in the film, and I think they've done this in other Godzilla movies too, but it was very noticeable in this. The first time you see Godzilla, it's not that big. It's not like the biggest thing you've ever seen. By that last scene, he's like a freaking skyscraper. He's like multiple skyscrapers tall.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And that meeting they had, because the Japanese government was basically useless, where they had to like get civilians to sign up for this like death mission. I thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, it's great. I would recommend you watching it, Greg. It's about 2 hours long. So it's not very short, especially for like people who are like of an action movie mindset. But yeah, I really liked it, and I waited for it to come out on Netflix to watch it.
Nice,
solid,
awesome. Yeah, that is an excellent movie, and it's funny you watched that on Netflix. I believe a movie that Greg saw, Hitman, is also on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. If we're thinking of the same movie, I didn't even check. You're talking about the one that just came out, right, Greg? The comedy. Okay, I watched this movie too. This just came out a week or two ago on Netflix called Hitman. It's a Richard Linklater film. It's got Glenn Powell in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's surprisingly good for a Netflix original. It's about a guy who pretends to be, he like works with the FBI or the police department, and he's like a fake hitman. So he takes jobs to catch people trying to hire killers for stuff, and then he gets tangled up in some stuff, and there's a love interest and whatnot. But very fun, charming movie. But this is your review, Greg. So what'd you think of it?
We didn't like it. Nicole like recommended it. I was like, okay, like we'll give it a shot. I was like, well, it looks funny, right? I'm like, oh cool, School of Rock was funny.
Right.
Didn't laugh that much in it the first 30
What?
minutes. I didn't think it was that funny, and I was waiting for it to go somewhere. And like Nicole's big on the meetups and like the chemistry between the actors. She didn't like the chemistry between the actors, so like we turned
What?
it off. Yeah, she didn't like the chemistry. She didn't
Oh
like
my
it.
goodness.
Yeah, so
That's
we
like sinful.
we didn't finish it. We turned it because it kind of takes that turn where it's like it's marketed as a comedy, but it really is like romantic drama. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's more of that. So like it's one of those bait and switch things. Like the trailer makes you think it's a comedy, but it's not. It has comedic elements, sure, but it's not I wouldn't call it a comedy. It's like
I think
a
this movie's
wouldn't-
pretty funny.
I wouldn't look at the name Hitman and think comedy either.
Well, if you look at how it's proposed, right? Like, oh, it's a guy who pretends to be multiple people, and he introduces these clients. He pretends to be different people to get them in entrapment. Stay down. So yeah, and you see School of Rock like that. You see those credits, seem like, oh, School of Rock was funny. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
I think that Glenn Powell, who's the main dude here, and then her name's Adria Arjona, his love interest. I think they have amazing chemistry in this movie. I was watching this, I thought they were really together in real life. I thought they were great in this movie. I also thought
Even
it
in
was
the
funny.
trailer, they're getting it down. They're getting down to it. So
Yeah, I thought they were great on screen together. Glenn Powell's just a great leading man. These modern movies, he was popping up and stuff. I thought it was funny. I watched it with some friends a couple weeks ago when it came out.
So this was written and directed by Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
Have you seen his other
Man
stuff?
himself. I've seen School of Rock. I haven't seen the Before movies. The Before
Dazed and Confused
Sunset
was
or-
huge in my high school. Like people
whatnot.
loved that movie. Like they loved.
I mean, Dazed and Confused is a great movie.
Yeah.
But like the other stuff that he's done, I think he did
Boyhood,
and
yes,
Waking
great.
Life, and have you seen Waking Life?
I've not seen
I've
Waking
not
Life.
seen
No.
Waking Life.
Both of you should watch Waking Life. I think it's his best movie.
Okay.
It's a rotoscoped film, so it's like shot
Ooh.
and then they animated on top of it.
Don't see a lot of
yeah.
that.
Greg, you should definitely take some of your, plant medicine when you watch it.
Okay. Okay.
Just-
It's legal in the
It's
state.
highly recommended to be on plant medicine when you're watching that one. But no, I don't know. I like Richard Linklater. I'm gonna check this out.
He's an
But
artist.
That's
He's an
interesting.
artist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes he takes some very different projects on, and I
Yeah, he
think
does.
I'm interested. I didn't realize that this was him.
Yeah, this is him written directed. It's on Netflix. I mean, I think it's an easy watch. Regardless how you feel about it. It's not.
Visually, it doesn't have any of the
anything too
visual
insane going on.
stack, I think, of Dazed and Confused. Like, it's definitely not as visually enticing. Like, is that film, like, it's definitely more grounded. Like, I guess I'd say, like, more like School of Rock, right? Like, just grounded. Like, there's not a lot of, like, production
Dazed
design.
and Confused is so old.
Yeah, I
How
know,
can
but
it
production
be-
design is fine. It's just, it's a modern movie, so they make it look modern. And I don't think there's anything like unique or special about the production design. It's very, very, very basic. It's not a bad
Donovan,
thing.
have you seen Dazed and Confused?
No.
It's been years since I've seen that movie. Years. Because my friends wouldn't shut up about it in high school, so I watched it. I was like, okay, it was a good movie. You know what I mean? Afterwards, I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
I like to,
it's a bit overrated in present day, but it's fine. I was just curious. Nice. Now I'm interested now, based on your review, Greg, because it sounds like
curious to hear what you
If
think.
something
of
like
it.
that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It just means I didn't care for it. That's all. Donovan liked it. I didn't. That's okay. Like, that's interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't even finish it.
Mhm.
Like, Nicole's very adamant about chemistry, and if it feels too forced, she just checks out. And like for me, I was stuck on he's a civilian, and they're putting him in these really dangerous situations with like barely any training. I was like, that's not how that would work. You can't just all of a sudden throw someone into a sting operation. Like, there's so many legalities. I got hung up on that a little bit. Again, not the movie's fault. This is my fault. Steady down.
Just the camera shaking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can jump into my review, Greg. You mentioned earlier that you and Nicole wanted to see Inside Out 2, but you didn't.
Yes,
I
we
went and
did.
saw Inside Out 2 this past weekend,
Nice.
which just had a massive opening weekend, I believe,
Yeah.
Great
at the
opening
box
weekend,
office. Which, you know, good for Pixar because God knows they needed a win there. But this movie I thought was pretty good. I like Inside Out. I did not see the first Inside Out when it came out in theaters. I saw it like a few years ago during the pandemic. I finally watched it. It's great. Of course, the Pixar was kind of fired on all cylinders back then. Still, I know they're way more hit or miss the last 5 years. But Inside Out 2 is probably the best thing they've put out since maybe like Coco, I would say, like 2018, 2019. Uh, it's a very simple, straightforward sequel. It's just Riley again, but she's a bit older now. It's a few years later. She's now getting ready to go to high school. She's no longer like a little kid, so they introduce all the like not adult emotions, but like those teenage puberty emotions. She's got like
Coming of age.
anxiety. Yeah, like they're like early in the movie, they're like, oh, construction's happening. What's happening? We're making room for all the new emotions, and you get anxiety comes in. Envy is one of the emotions that shows up in there. There's a French one that has a French name, but it essentially just means like disinterest or boredom.
Ennui.
Ennui, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, ennui. They said in the movie, and I was like, huh? And then they were like, boredom. I was like, okay.
I think ennui
one.
Ennui is technically an English word too. I think like we adopted.
Oh, is it one of those that
Yeah.
fake foreign words? Okay. Yeah.
It's not fake. It's like a French word, but I think it's been adopted to just.
Oh, we
yeah.
just made it. Okay, I see. Yeah, because that
Yeah.
character speaks with a French accent the
It's
entire
fine.
movie.
Ennui is just this
yeah.
bored French.
Mhm.
Okay. And Lewis Black is still anger.
Yes, yeah, they got the whole cast back. Amy Poehler's in there again as Joy. They got Phyllis from The Office as Sadness again. They added Maya Hawke, who's in Stranger Things as Anxiety. In this one, they got Ayo Itobiri, who's in like The Bear, and everything else is Envy. It's good. I think that's just Pixar is great at telling and making these like life lesson kind of movies. This is definitely one of those like this is what it's like growing up. The whole movie takes place over the course of like 2 days. It's just her at like a hockey camp. She finds out that her friends are going to a different school, and it's all the like teenage emotions and stuff. But I think that the movie has a great message about the idea that just like the negative experiences in your life are like just as important as the positive ones, and that it's like it's good to have feelings of like anxiety and envy and sadness, because they help kind of put all the like happiness and joy into perspective. Just about like control and managing your emotions. I think they have great messages of all that stuff there. It's definitely feels like one of their more important IP. I feel like Inside Out. It's very classic Pixar in that way, where Toy Story had so many of those like small life lessons for kids growing up. Inside Out feels like the modern iteration of that, which they don't have as much of these days. But I thought it was quite enjoyable. It's very like cookie cutter and basic. You can very early, you're like, okay, here's going to be the act 1, 2, and 3 of this movie, but it's mostly harmless and still very funny. I thought it was a good time.
Lady down.
I have not seen the first or second one of these yet.
Down.
The first Inside Out is still better. That's like I think first Inside Out is probably like top tier Pixar. That's like top 10, maybe like just outside of top 5 original Pixar movies. That first Inside Out, very emotional, heartwarming, also a heart-wrenching movie. And this one doesn't hit you as deep as that one. I think the opening does. The like opening kind of reels, they catch you up on the universe. It's very emotional where they talk about Riley and the character growing up and stuff. I thought it was all very well done. They have this recurring bit where like nostalgia keeps trying to show up as a new emotion, and they keep like kicking it out. It's like an old lady. She's like, "Oh, remember when we went to the baseball game?" And they're like, "Please, like, give it another like 20 years."
Right.
Which I thought was yeah,
That's
really
solid.
good. Yeah, they do that bit a couple times. It was really funny. But yeah, I would highly recommend the first Inside Out though. Another thing this one does is they have a sequence where they're like digging through Riley, the main character's mind, and they have like there's a video game character who she had a crush on, who's like locked away in some vault, and he's animated. Yeah, you see him in the trailer, I think, in some of the ads. He's animated like a PlayStation 2 model, so he's like all pixelated, and you can see like the rough edges on him, and he's clearly just like a Final Fantasy Cloud-esque
Yeah.
character with purple hair. He's got like the big Buster Sword. It's very funny, and just the way he talks is hilarious. You can tell they had the right people at Pixar writing and designing that character because he feels like a JRPG character plucked out of a video game and put in that movie. So they get all those details quite right. But I'd say if you like Inside Out, you should watch this one. If you haven't seen the first Inside Out, that is a must-watch movie. It is one of Pixar's best work, I think. So,
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't know. Got more Llamageddons to watch.
streaming on Disney Plus.
I don't have Disney Plus.
It's not. It comes through I give it 4 weeks, 30 days. I think before it hits the platform minimum. It's
See,
4 weeks now.
usually yes, but Inside Out 2 is making like buku bucks.
It's
so
making.
they'll probably let this one have a nice long run at the theaters.
I'm gonna say
Because it's making a
90
whole lot of
days
money.
before it hits Disney Plus.
So yeah, they'll probably let this one make all the money in the world.
Give it a
first.
whole quarter to make Mickey Mouse some money.
Mr. Mouse.
That's
But
good
yeah.
it's good that they made a good movie again, because some of the Pixar
Yeah, I mean,
stuff lately has been.
Pixar's coming off of layoffs, some questionable releases. I know they got caught up in the whole release experimentation, with Disney, where they were putting their movies on Disney Plus on release day, and they were shitting the bed at the box office. And then Elemental took like multiple months to get to like a reasonable box office. Like it might be an overstatement to say Pixar needed this movie to be huge, but like they might have needed this movie to be huge. So I mean, good for those animators that they are, still putting out some bangers there. And it's just a goddamn help the movie going for my own hobby. But something's making money out there. We're coming off of Furiosa, just shit the bed, absolutely.
Where did you watch this?
I saw this at my local AMC. I used my Stubbs A-list subscription, and it was my free movie reservation last weekend. Well, one of them. I get 3. Yeah, that's a good one though. It was a nice little heartwarming family movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anybody else see anything else they want to review, Greg? Also, if you guys got any other?
I've been watching the
I
movies.
saw something last night.
Uh-oh. Oh. I was like, what'd you see last
What did
night?
you see last night?
We're here
yes.
to talk about the culture, damn it. I'm
Yeah.
here on behalf of the culture again to say that Kendrick Lamar's pop-off party or pop-out party, it was
Yeah.
the funniest damn thing I've seen in so goddamn long.
What was it called?
Yeah. The pop-out.
The pop-out. Kendrick
That info.
Lamar had a concert in Inglewood, California at the Forum, Greg, where the Lakers used to play.
Back in
And
the
I
day.
honestly think that part of this, Donovan, was like a coping party for Lakers fans. Because, like,
Kind of, yeah.
Celtics won, so now they have more titles than the Lakers again. It's like
Yeah.
Laker Nation is just all sorts of discombobulated. But you get, like, Kendrick Lamar on stage with, like, I don't know.
He brought out a bunch
Tyler,
of
the Creator was there.
YG, Steve Lacy,
Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre was on stage. Like,
Yeah.
and Dr. Dre whispered, "I see dead people."
Yeah, he
And
did the intro.
entire crowd went crazy. Because Greg, like, you're probably not paying attention to any of this, but there has been this rap beef going on for about 2 months now, Donovan, between
Yeah. 2
Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
How far back can we go? Mhm.
And like Kendrick Lamar already won. Like this battle has been over for a month now. And he like digs up Drake's corpse, drags it on stage, and just curb stomps it for another hour and a half in this concert. And it's like, okay, you watch and you're like, yeah, okay, he played the hits, he played some of the new songs, right? And then he plays this song, Not Like Us, Greg, which is like,
It's like a diss track, but also just like a California West Coast anthem. It's one of those kind of.
Okay, so is it a West Coast anthem now? Is that what has happened? Is that what we're seeing?
That's what it's become. Yeah.
Okay, because
that's
what I saw
kind of been the theme here.
What I saw, and mind you, live in Ohio, I'm not taking sides in the rap beef. I saw 20,000 people all calling Drake a pedophile in unison.
Yeah.
Through song.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't just one time, Greg. He performed the same song 5 times in a row to end the concert.
I think I saw like some social discourse talking about like the 5-song thing. Someone were, like they were talking about that. I thought a little bit of that.
They kept replaying it. Yeah, he does it 2 times, and then he pauses, crowds cheer, and he's like, 1 more time, and that's like, damn, they're doing it 3 times, and then they do it 2 more times after that. And they had like 30 people stage dancing, shaking hands.
I gotta talk about the last time, because the like lasting image for me, and obviously like I'm old, right? I'm 43. I've been listening to rap my whole life, basically. Hip hop was like born in the decade I was born in, and I kind of love hip hop, and I've listened to rap my whole life. He brought Crips and Bloods on the stage together. They're holding hands and dancing.
Dude, the memes about the Amazon executives watching this, because Kendrick Lamar gets on a microphone and he's like, "We've got all the biggest gangs in Southern California here tonight," and I'm just like, "There's an Amazon executive somewhere shitting their pants watching this concert."
And like, if you really know the gangs in Los Angeles, like, there's a Korean gang, there's like MS-13 is there, there's the Mexican gang, there's the Crips and the Bloods.
I mean. First, it was on the surface, it was a great concert. And
amazing. It was a great show.
Amazon Music, surprisingly, really good production for these concerts that they stream. They only do them once every like 4 or 5 months. They need to figure out how to do these more routinely. This thing has like 200,000 concurrent viewers. It's on your own platform. There's a clear like appetite for this kind of thing because they've done big ones before.
You know what they should start doing, Donovan?
The issue is just talent. The talent is a long time to prep. So they have to get the talent to agree, and like talent's probably busy.
Do these after your Thursday night games.
That'd be cool. Yeah, if you just
like, you already have like a 20 million audience, and then like it falls off a cliff right afterwards because there's like a post game show, but they're not like a TV channel, so there's not just content afterwards. Like, if you say, "Hey, stick around for after the football game, we got Kendrick Lamar next," like people are gonna. They may just watch the game because they want to be there for the Kendrick Lamar stream. So I think like that's something they could do. But you're right, Greg, that it does take preparation and just hate. A level of hate that I'm impressed by. As a hater, I have to just give Kendrick Lamar his flowers. This man is a hater of like really next level hate. This is like it's astonishing just how much hate was on display last night, and that he brought Los Angeles together in the name of hating Drake. And I've hated Drake forever, so this has just been a delightful couple of months for me.
It's been so fascinating for me to witness and experience all this as somebody who grew up and was in school in like late 2000s, early 2010s when Kendrick Lamar was first coming into fame. Like I've been a Kendrick fan since before, like right around when Good Kid, Mad City dropped. I had his albums and shit when we were in middle school. Big fans. I remember when Kendrick Lamar and Drake made music together. I remember Poetic Justice and Buried Alive and stuff. So this has been like an interesting journey. But even just like the trip down memory lane of him doing like Money Trees, bringing out Schoolboy Q and doing Collard Greens, like just so many hits that this man has had throughout his career. Where you could argue that 4 months ago, before any of like the Drake beef and stuff went viral, Kendrick Lamar was already like a first ballot Hall of Fame hip hop artist. He was already going to, West Coast rap Mount Rushmore before any of this happened. And then this has just been like the greatest victory lap of all time that an artist can have. Just, you talk about dancing on a grave, stomping on it, just doing everything, and then having 20,000 people chant along with him. As you call, somebody else who was previously a very beloved artist, a predator. And just
a colonizer. He calls him a colonizer. He calls him a sexual predator. He calls him a pedophile. I'm not mincing words. These are lyrics, Greg. He literally calls, and it's like everyone is singing with him. And that's the chorus, not like us. They're not like us. It's like, it's a very much us versus them moment for hip hop and rap. And it's not like, a small group. No, it's everyone. It's like he had DeMar DeRozan on stage, Donovan.
Compton native, DeMar DeRozan,
But he's also a Toronto Raptor.
Played for the Raptors, was in a commercial with Drake. Team. Yeah,
Drake's
they
team. Maybe that's why I hate Drake too, man. Because like I hate the Raptors, and like the Cavs shat all over the Raptors. And I went to plenty of games in Cleveland where Drake was there because he's a rich douchebag, so he had courtside seats. And like there were times where he was like, people were like telling him like, "Sit down, dude." He was acting like he was a coach. So for DeMar DeRozan to show up there and put his like. And Russell Westbrook was like crip walking on stage for about 20 minutes. Hilarious. Oh my God. Just was, you know, I saw earlier this week, Kendrick said he's going to be filming for the Not Like Us video. Was that what this concert was?
If it wasn't, I feel like now it has to be.
Right?
You know?
Like you should just use all the footage.
You got the music video. Yeah, just maybe clean up the audio, and you've got the finished music video here. Just edit the stream down.
And like every time the wop 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 came up, like did you see those perfect camera cuts?
I was just imagining the person in the control center on the switcher doing like the boop, 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 just hitting all the buttons. Somebody was having a great time in production.
For real, like really good job by the production team there, because like it was like they were fans. You could tell that everyone. I think it's really fucking weird that the song of the summer is a song about a rapper who's a pedophile. That's fucking weird.
It's insane. It's insane, but it's also just like a testament to how great of an artist Kendrick is and how catchy of a song that is, because nobody else can pull that off.
Mustard killed it on the beat. And it's funny because Mustard came out yesterday and said, I had no idea what he was doing with this beat.
Yeah, so which is funny.
He's like, he heard the song when everyone else heard the song.
Yeah,
so that's funny.
An oh shit moment for him, thinking that he was just like giving him material for whatever.
It took him 30 minutes to make the track because it's pretty minimal, right? But it is simple, like to your point, it is like a West Coast hip hop sound. Like it has that West Coast rap sound to it. But yeah, I think it's the best diss track since Hit 'Em Up.
It's a really good one, and also I just want to mention, just for like the sake of the lore and story, this is a play directly out of Drake's own playbook. Because once upon a time, about like 8 or 9 years ago, Drake got into a beef with the rapper Meek Mill, who was the one who originally brought out the allegations of like, hey guys, Drake has ghostwriters. He doesn't write his own raps. And that's where that whole like original beef stemmed from. And Drake released a diss track called Back to Back, where he clowned on Meek Mill for being like the laughing stock of his own label, dating Nicki Minaj, all this stuff. And it was like almost career ending for Meek Mill. It was a radio hit. The song won a Grammy. Drake was performing it at concerts. People were singing along to it, making fun of Meek Mill. And he was just the butt of this joke. And now Drake is going out the same exact way, where like somebody's now not only made a scathing diss track of him, but it's also just the catchiest song of 2024. And people just can't stop singing it. You have like people outside of the hip hop sphere saying, "Oh, this guy's got a weird case. Why is he around?" All these lyrics coming at Drake and his crew, and it's just like, man.
Are you on TikTok? No, right?
I'm not, but I'm actually most of it. It usually leaks on other social media. You're seeing it fall on like IG feeds or on Twitter, right? The amount of just the amount of like young women who are dancing to this song in shorts it's exponential. It's just growing exponentially. And there are some very problematic lyrics for white people to be singing in this song. So maybe just be careful which verses you decide to use for your vertical videos, because they sound weird.
Oh, they didn't have the talk. I had a talk with my POC friend in high school. He's like, you don't say that word. You have to say whitey. I was like, okay. Like that was one conversation. That's all it was. And I got it.
No, but like, I don't know. There's the FAN part that's going viral. And like the whole, like he's like, he literally tells people to like slide to the left. He's like telling you to dance to this part where he's calling Drake a freaky ass neighbor. Whatever you want to input there. It's wild.
It sounds
the whole
like
A minor part, like seeing people really grab on to the A minor part. Greg, we did it. We made a Fallout video with the song.
Yeah.
So like,
and it did very well. It did very well.
It did. It did. It's a Fallout video about selling a kid ghoul, for 300 caps or something. But I just find it. There's like clowns on stage. This is wild, man. This is like, I agree. Like imagining the Amazon execs watching this, But also,
Yeah,
like,
so
knowing how
true.
execs think, they're just looking at the numbers.
Yeah,
and they're
that's
just
their
like,
I mean,
demographic. Yeah,
this had at least triple the viewership of any Thursday night game I watched on Twitch last year.
Mhm.
This had like 190,000 concurrents at one point
yeah.
on Twitch. I
And
would
then
love to watch more concerts like this.
Not to mention, and that brings up a really interesting point, Donovan, because like during the pandemic, we saw a lot of artists going virtual with concerts, right?
Right.
And like, here you can subscribe to this, or you can pay for a one-time viewing, or you can pay to download. There was like VODs. Saw like Mega Ran and those dudes, the nerdcore dudes were doing like almost monthlies at that point. It seems like, and we even seen it just, was it earlier this year or last year with Taylor Swift's Eras? Wasn't she on Disney? With
It was like a concert movie, yeah.
It was a concert.
Yeah,
They videotaped a concert.
So
yeah.
like, I guess my point is, concerts are great live in person, but I think there is a huge market for people that want to just watch concerts from their couch.
Mhm.
And yeah, if I'm Amazon, I am doing at least 6 of these a year. Like,
Yeah, I mean, somebody at Amazon Music should be on a phone right now, like figuring out who they're lining up.
I'm sure they
for the
are.
next
It
one.
just takes time. The talent, I totally feel like I've
it
worked
takes
in this
time,
production
but more
before, the
importantly,
talent.
it takes money. And I think Amazon has the money, Google has the money, Apple has. Why isn't Apple doing this?
They're funding the next Scorsese film. That's what they're doing.
Okay, good.
I mean, I've worked
I'm
in
so
this.
glad.
I've
I'm
worked.
so glad they're doing that, because they're just not the biggest music platform on earth. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. Like, this is the kind of shit Apple's gonna do in 10 years.
Yeah.
I
And
used
act
to
like
work,
they invented it.
I did freelance work for live stage production for a while, and the issue always comes down to talent. There's some talent, like especially for music concerts, like you have your openers, you have headliners, you have like everything between. There's multiple people. Some people only do it if someone else is involved, and if their schedule doesn't line up, it has to be delayed. Like it's a lot of like scheduling.
Which makes this even more impressive.
Yes, it's a lot of
Because he had like a rap all-star cast on stage with him.
But
And
that's
he
why
had,
you
like,
get it once a year instead of like once every 6 months, or once every few years instead of once every 6
I don't think you
months.
get this once a year. I think this is like once every 30 years.
Once every
Like,
generation.
like this is a very rare event that happened. And one of the funniest parts was LeBron James was there, and he wanted to go up on stage at the end with all of his friends, and his wife wouldn't let him. She like grabbed him and was like, "No, you're not allowed to go on stage and crip walk with your friends." Yeah, it just made me want to learn how to crip walk even more. I joined the Crips a while ago just because I think they have sick dance moves, but like,
Oh god.
Yeah, you ever notice some TikTok dancers don't show you their feet, like while they're dancing?
Not much going on down there in a lot of cases.
But when it comes to crip walking, you need to show the feet. It's a large part of it.
Yeah. Some would argue the main part, yeah. Mhm.
Some would argue it is the main part. But yeah, Russell Westbrook showing up in khakis and chucks, like, and doing the crip, like, come on. That was just delightful for me. It was really just great. It was absolutely fantastic. I had to come to your show and just tell the world about it, because I knew that you probably weren't going to bring it up if it was just you and Greg.
Probably not. No, I would have probably let it rock. Although it was a huge event. I took a screenshot of the trends last night. I had somewhere where it was just like 9 out of the 10 trending topics were all relating to that concert.
Dude, is he going to be at the Super Bowl singing "Not Like Us"?
Oh
They
god,
can
well, that's
afford
the
it.
crazy thing. Didn't Kendrick show up a few years ago when they had it in LA and they had like
Yes.
Snoop Dogg was there? I believe he came out for something.
They think he was on Still Dre.
Maybe. I forgot. They brought so many people out for that Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, 50 was there, Eminem was there, Kendrick was there, Mary J. Blige was there, Snoop was there, Dre. That was an awesome concert.
Can I say something as like an outsider looking at this, because I'm really ignorant
Sure.
about it? I feel like it's that cycle of these rappers start out in poverty and impoverished, and they have these terrible experiences that make them these creative artists, but then after 20, 30, 40 years of being billionaires, like you lose something, and then you go into that cycle again of like Kendrick calling.
Drake was a fucking TV star.
He
man.
was? I'm not familiar with
I'm
him,
not
so-
buying it. I'm not buying it.
What was he
Kendrick
before?
is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, most
Kendrick
of my
is
life,
rags
yeah.
to riches. He's rags to riches, and when he sees someone that's phony, he's not gonna suffer fools. I think that's true. But Drake, That dude had like an acting career before he even started rapping,
What was he
right?
before an actor though? What was he before that? I don't know nothing about him other than he played Fortnite one time with Ninja. That's the only thing I know.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's
did do
but
that, yeah.
but Ninja like it skyrocketed him to fame. Is like Drake retweeted him and he just exploded. Like they call him influencers for a reason. That's
Does that mean Mixer gets to claw back the money that they paid him?
no clue.
Unfortunately, no, I don't think so.
No, I think everyone
Like
gets to keep the Mixer money. How'd that work
Yeah,
out
things
for
go up
Mixer?
there.
Terrible, absolutely
Not
terrible.
beautifully.
Anyway, yeah, it was great. I have not seen a better congregation of haters in years. It was delightful. As a hater myself, especially a Drake hater, it was awesome. And like I think it's hilarious that hating one guy can bring together every gang in Los Angeles. That's insane. Like what he said at the beginning, the fact that that's like true, and like there's literally Crips and Bloods on stage together, holding hands and dancing, calling Drake a pedophile. Wow. That's just,
Yeah.
I'm taken back by like what is popular. You know what I mean? Like that's popular right now. That says a lot about our society that that's the popular song right now. And I don't mean that like in a negative way. I just very interesting.
Yeah. Definitely a moment in time. just that was
Yeah, I didn't want to let it go by
Yeah.
because it really was like that was the thing that I was just like, wow, this is delightful. It went, man. Even Greg saw it on his timeline. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like every
I
timeline.
saw people talking about it. I was like, wait, what's that? I didn't know what it was, but now that I have the context, I know what it is now.
It was funny, man.
I think I
I'll
saw a
send
tweet
you a
that said
couple of
5
clips.
times, really? 5 times? I was like, what the hell does that mean? I'm like, oh, okay. Now
It's
I get it.
weird, man. You normally don't see a musician do an encore and it's a song that he's already played. Like
Yeah.
that's rare.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like you would think the crowd would be less into it. No, each time it got like more and more hype. It's just
Catchy.
it was wild. It was wild to see. And it is a catchy beat. And he is like he kills it on the delivery and like the lyrics, the vocals, like the actual lyrics that he wrote are solid. Yeah. People are just tired of I think there's just a lot of people who are tired of phonies. And Drake feels kind of phony in a lot of ways. I like that one lyric in Euphoria where he's like, stop telling lies about me and I'll stop telling truths about you. It's like, uh-oh. That's when I knew things were gonna go crazy. But yeah. Congratulations to Kendrick and Los Angeles for really healing. You know? Felt like a healing moment for the city of Los Angeles.
It did. It did, yeah. Yeah. That was a good one for sure. I'm glad you brought that one up. Yeah. That was the pop-out tour. Maybe we'll talk about the next one in December, the next time they do one of these things, because Amazon Music only does a couple a year, it feels like. But I like this. I would very much enjoy watching more concerts like this.
You know what Amazon Music did last year that I thought was cool? They gave Mark Rebier a show.
Oh,
remember?
That was them. Okay.
Yeah. That was like he had Erykah Badu on, he had like Tenacious D. Like he had some guests. It was like Pee-wee's Playhouse, but Mark Rebier was the host. It's called We've Got Company. But yeah, I think they only did 6 episodes and dead. So like I was following Amazon Music on Twitch for that reason. And I'm like, oh yeah, they do concerts. You're right, they don't do them nearly enough.
Yeah. It's arguably one of the more successful things they do with Twitch out of their first party staple.
Good things. I just say good things take time. Like exceptional things take time to make. You can't do 3 a year because the quality is going to be worse because you need time. Can't tell how many meetings I've sat in where the production coordinator will be like, "That's not enough time. Do you want this done right or do you want it done quick?" Like how many times I've heard that in my career. Do you want it done right or do you want it done quick? Like it's a thing, right? And when you're patient, yeah, it takes longer. You're not going to get that huge return every 6 months, but like it's better. Like I don't know anything about music, but apparently everyone really enjoyed this. So like they did it right. It probably took forever to set up,
Not everyone. I think Drake hated it.
Well, I mean,
he's probably canceling his Amazon Prime subscription.
Also, Academics didn't seem to enjoy himself. Who is Academics, Donovan? Why do I know this guy now?
He's just a music pundit that kind of came up during the blog era, like early 2010s.
So he seems to be
music
like a
influencer.
reaction streamer, mainly.
Yeah, in his like modern iteration, but he's just like a music influencer. He just reviews music and stuff. But he was around when like a lot of like street rappers like Chicago, like Chief Keef were like coming to fruition. He was like, you know, one of the people introducing the internet to those mixtapes and stuff around that era. So he's just become a talking head in music. But he's
He got name
historically a
checked.
Drake fan.
He got name checked in one of the Kendrick songs, right?
He did because he is like historically a Drake fanboy. Like
But
he's diehard Drake fan. So
Kendrick left him out, I think, last night.
yeah, he wasn't in the song. I don't think that he performed. There's a few
Like
I
that,
forget
right?
what song it is.
I think it's like that.
Maybe yeah, I forget. But yeah, he didn't do the song with Academic's name in it. But yeah, here's another talking head, if you will.
It was fun watching just his reaction, like seeing the soul get ripped out of him when like he saw everyone on stage dancing to Not Like. It's really something. Definitely a moment. And yeah, pretty cool Juneteenth event. I was like, yeah, that's what you do on Juneteenth. Do that again.
Yeah.
If that's a once a year thing.
Held?
It was in Inglewood, California, at the Forum, Greg.
Okay, into the Forum, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be where the Lakers played, and now it's just a venue. I think that's also where the Brady roast was. So they're still using it for stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think we got. I don't know. I'll let you guys figure out when the show's over, but I think Sam's coming up with.
Yeah, he's gonna be doing
with
some,
Irma-God, the Irma-God
Edition.
DLC. I can't wait. I love it. Irma-God.
Shadow of Irma-God.
Irma-God. Yeah, it's Irma Tree, whatever, like Irma Tree. Yeah, it's a Irma-God. I just like think of that when I see that title.
I've seen a lot of people posting the autocorrect saying Nerd Tree.
Nerd Tree.
Nerd Tree. Yeah.
Good old AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I, for one, I'm excited to see what they do next with there. I'm excited to see what Kendrick does next. I hope he has an album on the way or something to keep this momentum going. But,
I guess it's a music video for Not Like Us is the next thing we're gonna see.
Yeah, I would imagine so. That's probably coming very soon. Yeah.
But yeah, I hope we get an album. That'd be great. But if we don't, this has been a great spring of just hate.
It has been a great ride. Yeah. I'm glad somebody got him making new music again because he's usually one of those artists where he'll release an album every 4 years and is very quiet. But
I think the next big rap album coming is Eminem.
Yeah.
Didn't he just have an album, or was it a single or something?
He had a single that dropped.
That's what I kept hearing in SoCal. Like all my friends had it on there, and when we were driving around, they were listening to it.
Houdini, yeah. That's. I don't know. I heard what I think is a leak off of the album, and it sounded way better than Houdini. So we'll see. But maybe I'll come back to talk about that album because I know for a fact neither of you guys will.
Wait, the fun fact. Like my mom grew up like in the same area down the street as like Eminem did. So like 4 or 5 blocks away, that's what she told me when that movie came out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I was an Eminem fan once upon a time. I don't know if I'll listen to his new album, but
were you some Shady fan?
Yeah. Mostly through my dad. My dad was a big Eminem fan growing up, so I heard a lot of his music probably way earlier than I
bet your dad and me have like
your dad
taste
a lot
in
of
rap
things
music
that are questionable. I'd say.
I'm like Donovan's dad and me probably like all the same hip hop, like just down the road.
Yeah. I was listening to the Marshall Mathers LP and seeing Jennifer's Body in theaters and Friday the 13th and shit. So,
looking back,
good parenting.
I'm a very well-adjusted individual. I like to
good
think.
job.
It's funny because speaking of music, it's funny how a beat can do that. Like it just is. If the beat is good, like when he was at his peak, I was a freshman in high school, and like I was pretty green. People had to explain to me what the lyrics were because I didn't know what they were. Like I was just singing because it was catchy. Like, and I think that's a big thing in music. Like it's just the beat.
Eminem himself is a very good producer, but Dr. Dre, who produced a lot of his early stuff, is one of the greatest producers ever. So yeah, a lot of those early Eminem songs had amazing music, and like Dre is the master of sampling things. So there's like old school 70s, 60s funk that are in those Eminem albums that you wouldn't even realize. You have to like go listen to the sample and then find the song. But yeah, like My Name Is, that's not an original production. That's just a really good sample. So like, and that's like the thing that catapulted Eminem. So yeah, to your point, Greg, yeah, music has a lot to do with it. That's why I brought up Mustard. He killed it on that beat. And I think it's hilarious. He had no idea what he was doing. Lastly, I do want to say, I think I figured out who Kendrick Lamar's informant is. It's Nardwar.
That makes sense to me. He knows everything.
Nardwar knows everything. And they're like buds. Like they really bonded over whatever, the vinyl music or whatever in that interview. So I want to throw it out there. If you're planning a rap beef, call Nardwar.
Yeah. He is like the OG musical research king.
Him and Sean Evans' team over at Hot Ones. They're the two best research teams for interviews right now.
They're really good at what they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Investigative
Nardwar,
journalism.
you watch Nardwar, Greg?
No, I've never heard the name before, but I know that I've read about the team of Hot Ones and how much research they do. Like they're journalists. They're essentially journalists. They're going through.
I'll send you this interview. Of course, the algorithm's like, oh, Asif loves Kendrick now. So on YouTube today, I was served a Nardwar Kendrick interview. So I'll send it to you, Greg. Nardwar is like one of my favorite interviewers ever. He's amazing.
I played this Kendrick Lamar video, and now YouTube's like, oh, please enjoy all these Tim the Tatman videos. I'm like, why are you recommending Tim? No. Like, what is with the Google algorithm?
They hear you talk about YouTubers all the time. It's like, this guy loves YouTubers.
Well, he's like, oh, he likes beef.
What do you mean? Why are you recommending me this video? I've never clicked on his videos ever. Why are you recommending me this?
Maybe they're trying to get you to start a rap beef with Tim the Tatman.
Maybe. I just blocked it. So I'm just like, don't recommend this channel to me again, please. Thank you.
Donovan, did you see the terrible news?
Uh-oh. What?
Alex Caruso's been traded from your team.
No!
No!
Oh my god.
Do you know for who?
No. No. No.
Oh. Speaking of A minor.
What the fuck is this?
I'm sorry, dude. I had to break the news to you.
So who did he get traded to?
He got traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh,
why would they do that?
For Josh Giddey.
Why would they do that?
This is a basketball player, Greg. His entire season has been overshadowed by the rumor that he had relations with a 16-year-old.
Did he?
They traded for him.
Did
they just traded for that guy.
It's legally no. It was a thing where like a girl posted like a Snapchat. They think he did it. I don't know where it stands at. But that's
like I said, accusation.
Yeah, I try to wait until like there's a verdict somewhere before I make a wild accusation. We have enough of those in our
accusation.
culture.
Take him out of the equation. Why did the Bulls trade Alex Caruso? You know what's bad? Like 5 minutes ago, I think my Apple Watch like notifications blowing up. A buddy of mine, he like texted me 7 times. He's talking about movies and stuff. So I thought he was talking about a movie. And I was like, I'll look at this in a little bit. Now I'm looking at it, and he's like, I'm so sorry. This Bulls trade. How can you even enjoy? I don't understand. Alex Caruso is one of the only good players on this team.
He's one of 3 good players. He just got paid. Like 2 years ago? Was it just 2 years ago he got paid?
Yeah, I mean, they just named him to the all-defensive team. The Bulls just put up a post for him like a month ago celebrating him because he was on all-NBA defense team. The Chicago's are trading 2-time all-defensive guard Alex Caruso to the Oklahoma City for Josh Giddey. Is there anything else? Are there picks? The trade
Donovan wants proof. He wants physical proof that he's.
Caruso. I mean, it's coming from Adrian Wojnarowski, which is as good as gold.
Yeah, the guy's the best journalist.
That's as true as it's going to get.
When does this start? Because I do enjoy when you guys in Slacker and social media go off on the sports stuff. It's great.
Well, this is the thing, Greg. We're in the off season now. The NBA finals are over. So right now, we're in between the end of the season and the draft.
Okay.
After the draft is free agency. So I have no fucking idea what the Chicago Bulls are doing.
The only thing I can think of
cap room for someone.
The only thing I can think of is that they're blowing it up, and this is just the first of many dominoes that are about to fall within
The
the next several
DeRozan's
weeks.
moving.
Yeah, like DeRozan, Levine. I think they might just be blowing this team up, and they're just trying to get money back on their books and draft capital, which is not the worst idea because the team is aggressively mediocre. They're like the 10th seed every year. But also, if there's one player you just hold on to no matter what, it's Alex Caruso. I mean, Jesus fucking
That's
Christ.
the kind of guy that you need on a championship team.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy, he's not like the headline dude. If you look at a picture of him, you're not even going to think he's a pro athlete. But he's sneaky great at defense. He can shoot the three. Yeah, this is a terrible trade. Sorry, dude.
It's hard to be a fan of this team. This team is awful, man.
And like,
suck.
It's so weird, man, because my entire teenage years, like, that team owned me for like
Bulls are great.
a decade. Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls owned the city of Cleveland. And then when he left, the way that things went down there, I think you guys are still eating some of that bad karma sandwich from afterwards. Also, this is what you get for booing that poor lady, that widow, Jerry Krause's widow. This is what you get.
Hey, I didn't boo Jerry Krause's wife. I am a Bulls fan, but the Jordan Dynasty drama predates me. I am a Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler era Bulls fan. That's where I came in here.
Sorry.
Right? Jakeem Noah, Carlos Boozer, Tom Thibodeau, Kirk Heinrich, Nate Robinson. Those are the Bulls I was watching and rooting for.
I'm so sorry.
2K. They peaked. They peaked by going to the conference finals once
against the Cavs.
Yeah.
It was a fun series.
It was. The shining moment was that Derrick Rose buzzer beater win. It was like game 2 or 3 or whatever. Which
followed by the LeBron James.
Yeah, my buzzer beater next game, and that was all. Yeah, well,
Derrick had a buzzer beater in Cleveland, and then LeBron had a buzzer beater in Chicago. That was a hell of a series. That sucks, man. That sucks. I look. I hated the Bulls for a while. Now I just feel bad for you guys. It's weird. It's very strange. But I still think the fans that booed that poor lady, they like this guy's dead.
They hate Jerry Krause. They hate him. They hate him. They piss on his grave.
The general manager who drafted Michael Jordan, right? He drafted Michael Jordan. He picked Scottie Pippen up. He's the guy who signed Dennis Rodman. He's the guy who hired Phil Jackson. That guy, the guy who put together the Chicago Bulls, the greatest basketball team of all time. He's been demonized because of the Last Dance documentary and all these sorts of things.
Yeah. He was one of many egos in the room that led to the eventual demise of that dynasty. But they won 6 championships. What do you want?
But that's my point. Like, he won 6 titles. He drafted Michael Jordan. Like, there are things that he did that you can't be like, oh yeah, he was a terrible GM. So they like finally retired his name or they put him in the rafters or something.
The Bulls didn't have a Ring of Honor. They made one last year, and the inaugural group was like Steve Kerr, Jerry Krause. Obviously, he's dead, so his wife was there to accept on his behalf. And they booed
the poor man's wife, Greg. They booed a widow. This is what you get. You don't get Alex Caruso. This is what you get.
I'm glad to know communities in sports are just as bad as in video games. That feels good to know.
Sports, arguably just worse for longer. Yeah,
maybe for more petty. Maybe even more petty are sports fans.
People in sports have a history of booing dead people or like diseased people. They do not care. Or like gravely injured people. No.
I would say that it's more like Star Wars fans than it is video game fans.
Yeah. Sports fans are rough, man. Especially getting to those historic franchises where they've got their entire identities wrapped up in it. It's rough.
Oh, I'm glad that we got this Donovan reacts to Alex Caruso trade because that's going to be a good vertical video clip.
I hope that does well. That my suffering was worth something because that is the worst thing I've heard all day. It'll be the worst thing I hear all week. That's just fucking awful. Josh Giddey, what are we
I'm
doing?
so glad that I could. I see an arm handing him a drink.
Look, it's Nicole, everybody. Look.
Hi, Nicole.
She's hiding. She won't come in.
I saw her. I saw her arm.
There. Yeah. Doesn't like to be on camera. No, not.
No, I understand. That's fine. Yeah, cool. Well, now that I've ruined Donovan's day, I feel like I've done a pretty good job on today's show.
We need to clip that. I ruined it for Donovan. That's gonna be the end of the.
It's like my Fonzie is just me coming in with bad news about the Chicago Bulls for Donovan.
You give him the bad news. You blue shell him Mario Kart when he's winning. You make him review New World. Like,
I don't know what we're gonna make you review this year.
Yeah. They have an expansion. Also, they're making a New World again.
Yeah, but New World's not that bad, man.
It's not.
Give it a 7.
It's not that bad. That was like a meme, but
it's just a lot of work to review an MMO.
Yeah, it is.
Ah,
Someone's gonna have to review Madden this year.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. Madden and NCAA. I'm gonna figure that one out. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we did
wow. All right. Well, yeah, I guess I'll sign off.
I
here
was so shell shocked. He's like, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know what happened.
I'll go grieve privately off camera.
He'll go break a rake and place it in the woods right now.
Yeah, I'll just go outside and scream as loud as I can and then go back inside. That's been episode 135 of Shacknews Presents Pop Goes the Culture, everyone. Thanks for stopping by here, talking movies, TV, in-person experiential experiences about Netflix IP.
Music and sports.
Yeah, music performances and abysmally awful sports transactions. Just we did the whole spectrum of pop culture today. I don't think there's just not a quadrant we didn't touch. So that was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. That was great until the end. But without further ado, I'm Donovan. That's been Greg and Asif. We'll see you guys next week for more Pops the Culture. Peace out. Yeah.